and welcome to the most magical podcast, where I give you tips and advice to help you visit the Disney parks like a pro, helping you to maximise the magic by mastering the planning. And this is a very special standalone series because every single episode I am taking you through how to book a Disney World trip with a split stay at Universal Orlando step by step. So we've covered things like budgeting and itinerary, and today we are going to be covering dining, which is one of my favourite topics. And what's really exciting about this series is I'm currently planning my own 40th birthday trip to Disney World and Universal Orlando, so I'm going to be using that as the examples. The planning is such a fun part of the build up to a trip, but it also is so important because it helps you maximise everything out there, your experience, your budget. The whole thing can be made so much easier with some planning. And it's also that thing of, if you've got the planning under control, once you get out there, you can just immerse yourself in the experience because all the logistics are sorted, they are done. You don't need to worry. And dining is actually quite an important topic, I think, because it's one of the quickest ways to save money or spend a lot of money. There's also a huge range of different types of restaurants and cuisines on offer. There's character dining. There's just so many things to discover and discuss. So that's what we're going to be doing today. And what I like about Disney World is that it is so varied. So there is something for everyone. When you think about theme park holidays, you typically think about not very good theme park food. So like burgers, hot dogs, hamburgers. That's the same thing. I think I've said that twice. But you know what I mean. Not very good quality, cheap fast food. However, the good news is Disney World and Universal do actually have quite a lot of different types of food on offer. You can have some really fantastic meals. So we're going to also let you know the best places to go, places you might want to avoid. So we're going to break down absolutely everything. We're going to talk about how to get the dining reservations, which reservations are the hardest to get, so you should prioritise. And also I'm hoping that as this series continues, you see how everything kind of works with one another. So stuff like, we've covered budgeting already, and your budget can help you decide where to dine. Because if you're trying to do a more affordable trip, quick service is going to be the way to go. If you're wanting to do some special things, maybe you're celebrating a birthday like I am, or an anniversary, anything like that, you might want to add some more of the special table service meals. Obviously, character dining is really important, but they can be pricey, so how do we do that more affordably? So we're going to see how it all works together, because like I say, your budget will dictate where you can dine, and also stuff your itinerary I think is really important. I personally think it's better to plan your itinerary first, because then you will know where you're going to be, therefore you know which restaurants you can pick from. So if you're in Magic Kingdom, it's good to pick from the restaurants in the park or in the hotels nearby, rather than thinking, oh gosh, we've got to travel all the way over to like Animal Kingdom Lodge, and it's the complete opposite side of Disney World. You're adding in all of that transportation time. So I always think having the itinerary first can help you pick out, okay, these are good restaurants. It makes it a bit easier as well to decide where to dine. So hopefully you can check those episodes out and see how this is all kind of working together to create one great big amazing picture in the end of the day. So some things that I think are good to know before we start is looking up menus in advance or reviews. I think is a really fantastic way to do it, because I am unhinged. Before I go, I look at all of the restaurant menus, and there's about 200 restaurants at Disney World. That's not normal. Normal people don't have the time to do that. And I'm lucky because I've done this over the years, so you kind of are familiar now with restaurants, but I still want to see have they updated menus, stuff like that, updated prices, so I can work out how much I'm going to be spending. And it's not really feasible for everyone to be doing that. So what could be really good is doing shortcuts like looking up reviews, and then they can tell you the best places to get certain types of food, the best table service on offer. We will touch upon that here as well, which is great, but I always think that's the best way to save time. So look up everything, because I think the worst thing you could do is not look anything up and then get hungry, just go, we'll go in there, and there's every chance it might not be good. And then you've spent money and you've not enjoyed it. And that's not the way to do it. So a little bit of time looking up menus and reviews is going to help you massively, and also it can help you create your budget, because that's what I do. I go and see, okay, that's what I'm going to eat, this is how much it's going to cost, add the tax on top. If it's table service, also add a tip, and then I know how much to budget for the dining. What I would say is for tax. Disney World sits across 2 tax districts, so I use 7% as the average. And just do that for quick service, you will need to add tax. For table service, you will need to add tax and tip is typically around 20%. So just be aware of that, because you will also need a budget for tipping. And it's also important to mention, if you do have the Disney dining plan, you have the quick service dining plan, tipping is not included. So do budget for that, because I think that could be something that catches people up, because they think my dining's all covered, it's all paid for, it's part of the offer, I've got it free, whatever, where you've got the dining plan, and then not realising about the tip, and then hundreds of dollars get added on to the top of your trip. So we just go in because we're prepared people. We love the planning, we know what we're doing. We're not getting caught out by these things. And also, the big date, there's a few big dates before you go, and the 60-day mark is definitely a big date, because this is when you can book your dining reservations and also experiences. So keep that in mind. Once you have booked your trip, I always kind of make a note in my diary, this is my 60-day date, so I know to have things prepared in advance. So I will know what my itinerary is, where I want to dine, and if there's any experiences, tours, anything like that that needs to be booked at that point, have it all sorted so that you're ready to go on that 60-day date. And you aren't scrambling like, oh my gosh. It just makes your life easier, and it's much more stress-free, which is great. And the other option, if you are worried about booking your dining, you don't really know where to book, you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, or you're not free, because this is the problem. If you're in the UK, dining goes live at 11 AM. Certain times of the year it goes earlier or later depending on where the clocks are, because interestingly, in the US and the UK we change our clocks on different dates. So there are a handful of weeks of the year where we have different times, but typically 11 AM is when you're aiming for. However, this is typically when people are at work, so if you're not free or you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed, do contact me, because I have my Disney World dining booking service and I can take away all of that stress for you. I can answer any questions you have in advance about dining, give you suggestions, answer questions about the dining plan, and then book absolutely everything for you, and then you're all ready and set to go, which is fantastic. So let's dive in. And I think the first thing we'll touch upon, the very basics, the types of dining on offer. So we're going to start with Disney World. And this is the area that I know most, because like I say, Universal, the last time I was at Universal full-time properly was 2018. 2022, I stayed at Universal for like 4 or 5 days, but I was only in the park for like 3/4 of the day because Hurricane Ian. Very rude of Ian to turn up and not let me go to Universal. Then I have been to Halloween Horror Nights the past 2 years, so I've had some food, but it's an area that is still quite new to me, because over the times that I've been to Universal, I've only gotten to eat in a handful of restaurants, whereas whenever I go to Orlando normally, I spend so much time in Disney World, and obviously I have my dining booking service, so I know so much about the dining. So we're going to touch upon Universal in its own section, because there's so much to talk about. But if we're at Disney World, quick service is going to be your fastest and cheapest way to dine. It's kind of like going to a fast food restaurant. You go to the counter, order yourself, take your food to the table, seat yourself and enjoy. But the great news is there's lots of different types of quick service food on offer. So like I say, you're not just getting pizza and hot dogs. There's loads of amazing restaurants. I thought I would let you know some of my favourite quick service restaurants in each of the parks. So in Magic Kingdom, love Pecos Bill. This is a Mexican restaurant. Food's really, really good here. They do change the menu quite frequently. So since my last trip, they've updated it again. During my last trip, they updated it whilst I was there. So I had 2 different meals twice at Pecos Bill, and then they've changed it again. So it'll be interesting to see what this new version is going to be like. Also Columbia Harbour House. I think this is probably the best quick service in Magic Kingdom. Loads of seating. And it's typically seafood that they offer, but as a vegan, I go there and there's an amazing Heart of Palms roll, which is supposed to be like a faux lobster roll, but it's really, really good. And love it. I definitely think this is somewhere people need to head to because it's so good. Over in Hollywood Studios, anywhere in Galaxy's Edge is great. So Ronto Roasters and Docking Bay Food and Cargo. Both very, very good. And I like that they try and make the food quite interesting there. It's not just typical fare, or they'll make it look interesting. So like you'll have hummus, but it's purple and stuff like that. So I love that the theming matches being in the world of Star Wars. But also I think because they're newer restaurants, they just have really great food because they can kind of be creative. Fantastic. If we're looking for food that's more like home comforts, Woody's lunchbox is amazing because it serves kind of American foods that they would have in childhood. So like grilled cheese sandwiches and tachos, which are potato barrels that are topped with like chili and stuff like that, and really, really good, really hearty. So if you're looking for something that's going to be a crowd pleaser, Woody's is really good. And then I also like Backlot Express. I feel like this sometimes gets overlooked. It's got loads of seating and it has quite good food here. And it's right next to Indiana Jones. It's a bit tucked out the way, so it's a bit quieter often. Very, very good. I love the teriyaki tofu bowl they have here. It's so good. So that's a very good option. Over in Epcot, I'm obsessed with Regal Eagle for their barbecue. If you like barbecue, in particular you're interested in trying American barbecue, here is the place to go. Interestingly, they've switched up their vegan option again. So now it's gone from a jackfruit sandwich to a stuffed baked potato with chili. And that's interesting because I feel like in the summer I'd be like, that's a winter food. And in Florida heat, I don't think I could eat a stuffed jacket potato. However, visiting in January, even though it will be a very different type of winter to what we have in the UK, I'm like, brilliant. So I'm quite excited to try that. But this is for the barbecue people. Head here. Animal Kingdom arguably has the best quick service out of all of Disney World, which is Satuli Canteen, and here you can choose your protein, your base and your sauce, so you can mix and match and tailor it to what you like, which is fantastic. And the food's just unreal. It's so good, so definitely don't skip that because it's definitely the best. And over in Disney Springs, love Blaze Pizza. Absolutely obsessed. One of the cheapest quick service meals you will have is something like $12. And you can have a whole pizza and you get to choose your topping. So again, it's great because you can customize it to exactly what you like, and it's made fresh. It's so thin and crispy and delicious. There's so many toppings on offer. So obsessed. Definitely go to Blaze. If you're looking for some Indian food, which you don't find as often in Disney World, then Eat is a quick service restaurant serving Indian food. I'm really excited to go here. I missed out on it on my last trip and it's really high on my list to try. It's also a really good use of a quick service dining credit because the meals are quite pricey. So if you're looking for one that you get bang for your buck, this is the place to go. Also get loads of recommendations for Polite Pig. So again, if you do like barbecue, this is a really, really good barbecue restaurant in Disney Springs. And if you're looking for something a bit lighter than Earl of Sandwich, you can't go wrong with Earl of Sandwich. There's so many different types of sandwich on offer. They do breakfast, lunch and dinner. And they also do like salads, stuff like that. So if you're looking for something a bit lighter, head to Earl. He's great. Something that's really great about quick service though is mobile ordering. I am someone who likes to get the most out of my time in the parks and I hate being in queues, and that includes when I'm ordering food. So mobile ordering is where you can order your food via the Disney World app. And there are two options. You can either order ASAP and it will let you know how long the wait will be, or you can schedule it for later. So what could be really good is if you want to go somewhere really popular like Woody's Lunchbox, sometimes if you do ASAP it can be over an hour's wait, which is nuts. However, if you know earlier in the day, actually we want to do Woody's for lunch, you can schedule that and pick the time slot that you'd like to go, and then you know, perfect, I'm not going to have a horrible long wait. I'm just going to turn up, let them know I'm there, and they're going to cook my food for me, which is absolutely brilliant. And I think that's the best way to kind of go about it. And what I like is if I'm in a queue for a ride and you know the queue's going to be 45 minutes or something, you can then go, let's like mobile order some food for like an hour's time. So we've got enough time to go on the ride and walk over. Because you will get a time slot, so you do have a little bit of leeway. It's not like you have to be there dead on, so you pick 12 o'clock, you don't have to be there at 12. You've got a little bit of time to get there in between. And also, if you get there a bit late, they don't mind, because they know people are in queues and on rides and walking, and people stop in front of you and you can't get around them and it takes ages to get anywhere. They know all of these things. So I definitely love mobile ordering because it just saves you so much time. And that's the thing, when you're in the parks, you want to have that experience. You're paying for that experience and going on the rides and seeing the shows. You don't want to be stood in queues. So a big fan of mobile ordering. Plus you can also use the dining plan via mobile ordering. You don't have to order at the counter. So they've got it all set up. So no matter what way you want to pay, you could do that. The only time mobile ordering may not be good for you is if you have to make any changes to a meal because of dietary requirements. Most of the times you have to speak to a coordinator or a chef. So you'd have to stand in the normal queue to do that. But otherwise, mobile ordering is the way forward. The other type of dining that you can have is table service meals. So these are traditional sit-down meals where you have a server that brings everything to you. There's a few different types of table service meals you can get. You can get a la carte, there's family style, there's buffets. So again, you've got variety with the style of dining, not just the cuisine, which is really, really great. And there is so many different types of food on offer in the table service restaurants. It's absolutely incredible. So again, whatever you like, you're going to find something which is so good. And I would really say don't skip over the resorts. Some of the best food you will find is in the resort restaurants. And when you're spending your time in the parks, you don't want to leave. I get that. However, if there's ever an opportunity for you to pop over to a resort, because typically they're close to get to you. So like I say, if you're in Magic Kingdom, you could do a 5-minute walk to the Contemporary Resort, or you can hop on the monorail and go to the Grand Floridian. Stuff like that. That way, you're not losing so much time. It's a great way to kind of have a little break in your day, and you get to explore the resort and have some great food. So try and pick the places close by and you'll be sorted. But some of the quick service that I super love is we'll start with Magic Kingdom, Jungle Navigation, Skipper's Canteen. I think this is probably one of the best quick services, table services in Magic Kingdom. Now Magic Kingdom is a park that's famous for not having great food, so it can be harder to pick, or they'll have restaurants that a lot of people talk about, but they're not necessarily the best food. It's more like the theming, be our guest. That's what we're talking about. The food isn't like necessarily matching the price point, but it's the setting that's amazing. Whereas Jungle Navigation, Skipper's Canteen, I think it goes under the radar. The food is really good. So if you like Asian fusion food, wonderful. But something that gets skipped over, ironically, is the fact that all of your servers are supposed to be Jungle Cruise skippers, so you get the same jokes and like dad humour from them as you do on the ride, and it's absolutely hysterical. It's so much fun. So as well as the food being great, it's a really fun experience. It's not just like a normal restaurant where you sit down and they order for you and you go on your merry way. They're so interactive and it's hilarious, so I'd definitely recommend that. Another great option is the Plaza. This is a very small restaurant on Main Street, but it sells like traditional American foods. So if you're looking for like meatloaf and stuff like that, you'll find it there, and it's just a super cute and nice restaurant. I also really love Liberty Tree Tavern because obviously being from the UK, we always hear about Thanksgiving. We don't have that experience. So here you get to have basically like a Thanksgiving style meal. So if you've ever been curious, do head here. It's also family style, so you can order more of the dishes that you like. You get 3 courses, but if there's any particular things that you want more of, they'll just bring it to you. So it's great because you can kind of eat a lot of food for a set price. And yeah, absolutely love that. Also, if you head over to the Contemporary Resort, you've got Steakhouse 71. This is like a really it's lovely and laid back, the atmosphere, but it does feel quite like contemporary, which I suppose, you know, the theme of the hotel makes sense. They do breakfast, lunch and dinner, so you can pop over here anytime. I love going for breakfast there. It was a tradition to kind of go to Steakhouse 71 on the first day before going into Magic Kingdom. And yeah, the food's just very good here. Interestingly, it can be one of the harder reservations to get because it's not a huge restaurant. A lot of restaurants do have a lot of tables and seats because obviously the nature of Disney, seeing hundreds of thousands of people every single day across all of the parks. But Steakhouse 71 is kind of a medium-sized restaurant, so it can be a bit hard to get reservations towards the beginning of your trip, so just be aware of that. Somewhere that I'm really excited to go to, which I've not been to yet, is Wailulu, which is at the Polynesian Resort. The menu looks absolutely incredible. I love visiting the Polynesian Resort because it's stunning, and this looks right up my alley, so it's so high on my list of places to try for my next trip, and I'm already kind of recommending it even though I haven't been because it just looks amazing. And Whispering Canyon Cafe, again, this is a super fun restaurant because of the interactions. It's so fun. Here you can get skillets of barbecue food if you go for dinner. They also do great breakfasts here. It's over at Wilderness Lodge again, which is a stunning resort. So you just pop over, you could get a boat even from Magic Kingdom over to Wilderness Lodge, which is beautiful. And here, get ready for more fun and hijinks, and definitely be sure to after the ketchup. But if we head over to Hollywood Studios, then Roundup Rodeo Barbecue is so popular. This is a super cute Toy Story themed restaurant. It's family style, it's barbecue food, so again you can order more of the dishes you like, but they have really fun moments where, you know, someone will shout, Andy's coming, and everyone in the restaurant freezes, and there's all these little fun little moments. Now, it's not a character dining meal, you won't meet Toy Story characters, but the theming and kind of like the interaction are so fun here. And also, Hollywood Studios, Sebastian's Bistro at Caribbean Beach Resort, which is on the Skyliner, so you just sail over, you're in the sky over to Caribbean Beach. This restaurant, I think, is probably one of the best in Disney World, and it's also one of the most affordable table service restaurants in Disney World. Here you get like a Caribbean feast. It's 3 courses served family style, so again you can order more of the dishes you like. Something I really like about Sebastian's is the vegan option is an exact replica of the non-vegan option. Because often they will obviously switch things up and you'll have 2 very different meals. Whereas here you get to have the exact same experience regardless of what your diet is. And it's so good. The food is so unbelievably good. And the dessert, which is this like coconut and pineapple bread pudding, is ridiculous. It's actually stupid how good it is. So this I would put super high on your list to try because it's amazing. Over in Epcot, I love Shiki-Sai, which is a Japanese restaurant. Here you can kind of get small plates, so you can kind of mix and match, or they do have bigger dishes like ramen. And the food is unbelievably good, but also the service is amazing. Like when you first arrive, they kind of like make a little like announcement so all the staff welcome you. Like it's so lovely, and I highly recommend it. It's one of my favourite restaurants I've been to in Epcot. I'm also obsessed with Biergarten, which is a German buffet in the Germany Pavilion. Here you also get some entertainment because you have some fantastic men in their little traditional outfits, and they have those really long horns that you used to see on adverts for like Toblerone, on like people on the side of a mountain with a massive horn. Does anyone remember this? Maybe it was Milka, one of those brands. And they have like glockenspiels and they like bells, and like it's so fun that you have the entertainment as well. And I really enjoyed the food here also. So it's traditional German foods. If you do like sauerkraut and bratwurst and potato pancakes, all of these things, you're going to really enjoy it. And something I'm excited to try is Spice Road Table. Every single time I've been to Disney World since this restaurant opened, I'm like, I'm going to go. And it's just never happened. But this is in the Morocco Pavilion. So if you like Middle Eastern food, this is going to be fantastic. Again, they do kind of like small plates so you can mix and match. They have the famous hummus fries. But you can also get tagines and stuff like that. And the food just looks so good. And I think it's one of those ones that people tend to skip over, so you don't hear about it so much. It does seem to just open for dinner now. And again, I think that's one of the reasons why I ended up not going, because it just didn't work out with where I was going to be. But I'm desperate to go there because it looks so wonderful. And in Animal Kingdom, Yak and Yeti is super popular. If you love Asian food, this is the place to go. They have a really extensive menu. And then if you hop over on the bus to Animal Kingdom Lodge, you have 2 amazing restaurants. You have Boma, which is a buffet in Jambo House. Breakfast and dinner is served. They are incredible. The amount of food you have on offer and the variety. So it's a mixture of like American foods with African foods, and it's so good. It's unbelievably delicious. Like, Boma has a very big reputation. It definitely deserves it. Also, if you head over to Kidani Village, There you have Sanar, which is an Indian restaurant. You also have an amazing view out over the savannah. It's famous for its bread service here, and I've had it a couple of times. One time I had it and it was one of the best things I've ever had. The next time I had it, it was a little bit disappointing, but it could have just been like an off day. But I would definitely still go back because it's a wonderful setting, but there is, again, loads of different foods on offer. And the bread service is supposed to be like a starter that's shared, but because I was there on my own, I was desperate to have it, I just had it as my meal. So it would be wonderful to go back and try some of their curries. I have to say as well, Jico, which is a signature restaurant, is also fantastic. It is over in Jumbo House, and signature restaurants are a bit more expensive. They're a bit more fine dining-esque. They're not necessarily full fine dining service, but it's elevated food. And I had an amazing experience. I was there solo, but they sat me at the chef's table. So I was sat there as they were cooking, chatting away with them. Then a few other people came to join, so you got to chat to them, and it was a wonderful experience. But it's an amazing African menu. So all of the food in Animal Kingdom Lodge, both of the resorts, is unreal. It's so good, you cannot go wrong. And then we also have over in Disney Springs area, the Turf Club. I'm obsessed with the Turf Club, and again, I think because this is quite difficult to get to, like if you don't have a car, or you're not wanting to kind of get on a bus and go out to a resort that's not near a park, it can be a bit difficult to get to. But the food is so good at Turf Club, and yeah, I think it gets overlooked because of its location, but it's definitely one to kind of think about. Also, Chef Art Smith's Homecoming. This is something I book almost all the time. Like, it has that kind of like Southern American foods. If you're looking for fried chicken and stuff like that, this is the place to go. You're going to get that full experience. People also really love going to Wine Bar George. That's supposed to have a very nice menu. Summer House on the Lake is a relatively new restaurant at Disney Springs. That also has a nice menu. It does brunch as well, which is really, really good. And we touched upon it briefly when I mentioned Jico, but there is a kind of another tier of table service dining, which is signature dining. So it is higher end, like more elevated food, great for like occasional dining. So if you were thinking about celebrating an anniversary, an engagement, a birthday, something like that, this is where you can go for really special meals. Signature dining is 2 dining credits via the dining plan. So that's why I always kind of separate it, because the costs are more expensive obviously in general, but if you're on the dining plan, a lot of these restaurants probably aren't worthwhile using your dining credits for, because I always think the dining plan, a credit is worth around $60 or so. But once you have 2 credits, you're looking at it has to be a meal that's worth $120, and none of these menus you would get that from. So I always think these are good to pay out of pocket for and save your credits for your other meals, because you'll get much more bang for your buck from that. But some really amazing signature dining restaurants are Tiffin's in Animal Kingdom, and this is a mixture of like African and like Asian food. It's basically based on the lands that you find in Animal Kingdom, and the thing that's so amazing is the restaurant itself is almost like a museum. So on the walls they have like artwork and artifacts that they collected, the Imagineers that were going around the world as they were kind of doing all their research into how they were going to design Animal Kingdom Park. You have these actual artifacts on the wall, and one of my favourite Disney Imagineers is Joe Rody, and when I went to the restaurant I was like, is this Joe Rody's notebook? And they were like, yes. And then the wonderful server was actually doing the Disney College programme, and she was an art history major, so she was like, would you like a tour? And I was like, oh my god. And she took me into all the different rooms and was explaining all the different things that they'd collected, and it was absolutely incredible. So not only is the food great, it is like being inside a museum, so it's really interesting if you are a Disney fan, or if in particular you love Animal Kingdom Park. As I mentioned, Jico, great African food. Hollywood Brown Derby, which is in the Hollywood Studios Park, makes sense obviously. This is based on an actual restaurant that is super famous, so if you are looking for kind of like Hollywood or like Los Angeles fare, this is where you're going to get it. The boathouse in Disney Springs is really, really popular, has a great kind of like waterfront view, which is lovely. Over in Grand Floridian Resort, you have Citricos and Narcoossee's, and both of them are really, really good. Again, it's that more kind of refined dining. Le Cellier in Epcot is a Canadian restaurant. But again, like if you're looking for some like nice steak or poutine or something like that, this is the place to go. Yachtsman Steakhouse is also super, super fantastic for if you're looking for steaks. I would say, as someone who's vegan, something to be aware of with Yachtsman is when you first walk in, they have a glass room that is where they hang all the meat to cure, or I don't know what they're doing with it. Which can be quite off-putting if you're vegan. So just be aware of that. If you're looking for a steakhouse, this is a good one. And the big one that you might have heard of is Victoria and Albert. So this is actually a Michelin-starred restaurant at Disney World. It's very, very hard to get dining reservations. There is a dress code. You do have to wear a jacket. If you're a man, you do have to kind of dress up to go here. It is a multi-course menu. It costs hundreds of dollars. It's very expensive. But like I say, it is Michelin-starred. So this is like the foodie's dream. If you really love food, going to Victoria and Albert's is always on the list of things you want to do, and it looks amazing. And then of course, the other style of dining at Disney you will find is character dining, which I think is a quintessential part of the Disney experience. It's so fun to not only have a meal, but to meet multiple characters at once. And what I really like is that they have different themes for the character dining and different characters. So there's multiple ways you can look at where you're going to pick when you're character dining. It could be because there's characters there you want to meet. It could be the location. It could be the menu. Could be a mixture of all three, which is like the best, isn't it, when you get all three in one. But my absolute favourites are Topolino's Terrace, which is at the Riviera Resort, and this is one that I think has all three. It's an amazing location because you're on the top floor of the hotel and you've got incredible views over Disney World. The food here is really, really good. It is a character dining breakfast, so it's only breakfast that you meet characters, but love the food so much. And the characters, you meet Mickey, Minnie, Donald and Daisy, but they're in their artist costumes. But what's lovely is the restaurant itself is quite spacious. So the characters can easily move amongst you and you get good interactions with them. They're not rushed. They're not like trying to move on to the next table. So I really love Topolino's. I also love Tusker House. This is in Animal Kingdom. It has an amazing buffet for breakfast, lunch or dinner where it's American and African food. If you want to try Boma but you don't want to head over to a resort, go to Tusker House because the food is very, very similar. So the food is exceptional, and here you get to meet Mickey and his pals in their safari outfits, which is unbelievably cute. And again, when I was there, I found that I got a lot of time with them. It wasn't rushed. I met them multiple times, which was wonderful. And I also love Garden Grill, which is in Epcot, and this is a cool restaurant because again, you meet Chip and Dale, and Mickey and Pluto, but they're in their farmers' costumes because this restaurant revolves. And as it revolves, you go inside living with the land. So the fact that you've got this thing, like, it's a mixture of three amazing things. Character dining, revolving restaurant, going inside a ride. So if you love living with the land, it's really cool because you get a different perspective of it. Also, some of the food that you eat are grown in the greenhouses. So if you've been on the ride and you've seen it being grown, then you get to eat it. That's also really, really cool. So yeah, I love everything about Garden Grill. I would say some that are maybe a bit overlooked are Cape May Cafe. Now, because this is in the boardwalk area at the beach club, again, unless you're staying in that area, people don't necessarily go there. Some people will make a specific point of this trip, I want to head to the boardwalk and explore it. But unless you're doing that or staying there, there's no real reason to go to the boardwalk. So I think Cape May Cafe gets overlooked. It's a character dining breakfast. It's a buffet with Minnie and her pals in their beach costumes, which is really, really fun. Hollywood and Vine is character dining in Hollywood Studios. This recently changed, so now all three meals of the day, breakfast, lunch and dinner, are Minnie and her pals. Before, breakfast used to be Disney Junior characters, which I think was kind of cool, because if you had kids that loved Disney Junior characters, it was pretty fun they could meet them. However, now everyone can meet Minnie and her pals all day long, and what's really fun about this restaurant is the costumes are based on the seasons. So if you go in Halloween, they'll be in Halloween costumes. Christmas, they'll be Christmassy. They have like springtime outfits, summer outfits, so it's really, really cool that they will change up depending on the season. And also 1900 Park Fair. This is at the Grand Floridian Resort, and I think one of the reasons it's not talked about as much now is you get a weird mix of characters. Before, it used to be a Cinderella themed meal, so you would meet Cinderella, Prince Charming, the Ugly Stepsisters, Lady Tremaine, made sense. Whereas now you meet Aladdin, Tiana, I think you still meet Cinderella, and Mirabelle. I think these are the people you meet. Oh no, maybe it's not Cinderella. You definitely meet Tiana. Oh, did I say Tiana? I've confused myself now. But it's a weird mix of people. Aladdin, Tiana, Mirabelle, Cinderella. I think that's it. And because it's a weird mix, I think people don't really know what's going on. But in some ways, it's kind of nice, I think, to have a mix, because it's great when they have like a theme and you know who you're going to get. But when it's like, okay, this is just a mix of lots of different people, that's kind of cool. But I think because it has kind of like an identity crisis, maybe less people go there. But something that is cool as well is it's the one place where you can meet Tiana in her Tiana's Bayou Adventure costume, which is really, really fun. So that's another reason to head there. Some that I think are overrated: Chef Mickey's. Now this is at the Contemporary Resort. This is the one that everyone will think about when they think about meeting Mickey at a character dining meal. And the reason I think it's a bit overrated is just because where it is so popular, the interactions could feel quite rushed, and it's also quite a chaotic setting. So if you're looking for something that's like relaxed and chilled, and there's not like an echo and kids screaming and stuff like that, Toffolinos Terrace is definitely the one. Whereas Chef Mickey's, it can be quite overwhelming, quite overstimulating, loud, rushed. So yeah, it's not always the best, I don't think. Also, Acacia's Royal Banquet Hall. Now this is quite popular because it's a princess character dining meal. So people that are looking at going to maybe Cinderella's royal table and they're thinking, that's quite expensive, they will often look at Acacia's. Now, it is slightly cheaper, but I do think the experience isn't good. I think the interactions with the princesses are quite rushed. I had a really bad experience at Acacia's regarding the food and becoming ill from the food back in 2018, and I've never been back since because I was just like, I can't face it. Now the good news is this restaurant was actually shut for a really long time after the pandemic, and when it reopened, had a brand new menu, completely different food. So I'm sure now it's much better, but I'm just so off put by it. And I think for the price difference, Cinderella Royal's Table is just better overall. So I would always recommend that for a princess character dining meal over Acacia's, because I just think the food isn't particularly good for the price that you're getting. Even with the new menu, I've heard from people that it's still like not the best food, and it's just interacting with the princesses is so kind of rushed and formulaic. So I don't recommend that one. But the other ones that are super popular that we've mentioned, Cinderella's Royal Table, where you not only get to meet princesses, but you dine inside Cinderella Castle. Absolutely incredible experience. You also have Ohana. This is a character dining breakfast, and you get to meet Lilo and Stitch, which is super fun because they aren't really around as much. This is the only character dining location you can meet them, but also in the parks. It's not like Disneyland Paris, where you cannot move for Stitch, and it's absolutely insane, and I can't stand him because of it. Like Disney World is much more chill with the Stitch mania. It's not quite reached there yet. But what's great is also Ohana has a beautiful setting at the Polynesian Resort, so it totally makes sense for Lilo and Stitch to be there, so that's a great character dining breakfast if you're looking for them. Also Crystal Palace in Magic Kingdom, where you get to meet Winnie the Pooh and his pals. It is so cute, and it's super lovely. Most of the characters come to your table to meet you, and then Winnie is actually at the front of the restaurant, where they have this beautiful like topiary display, and you get to have lovely photos there, and it's really nice because you can go up at any time of your meal or as you're leaving. It's really up to you when you want to meet Winnie, which is great. And the food here is also really nice. And storybook dining at Artist Point with Snow White, and this is really fun. Like the setting is beautiful because it's meant to look like a Bavarian forest. And it's the only place at Disney World where you can meet the Evil Queen, which is wonderful. If you're a Villains fan, it's so worthwhile visiting for that. But you also get to meet Snow White, Dopey and Grumpy, and it is a 3-course meal that's all kind of themed around, I wouldn't say all themed around, most of the meals are themed around Germany. Some of the options on the vegan menu, it's like we're suddenly in Asia. We don't know what's happened, but they just were like, we can't really think of anything that's German that's vegan, I suppose. So, but I loved the setting of that and getting to meet the Evil Queen. They have a photo pass photographer there because it's such a like unique experience. It was great. So yeah, I definitely think character dining is so worthwhile doing because it's just such a Disney thing to do. And what's worth noting is breakfasts are always the cheapest option. So if you want to do character dining but you want to do it more affordably, that is the way to go, because you're still going to be having food, getting to meet those same characters, but it's going to be a bit more cheaper than lunch or dinner options. And what I would also recommend is always check the dining times, because things like Ohana, for example, only do character dining at breakfast, even though the restaurant is open for dinner, or somewhere like Storybook Dining only opens for dinner. So do check in advance what sittings are available, just so that you know and it's easier to plan. Some of the restaurants that do breakfast, lunch and dinner, there's actually quite a good hack that you can do, because if you book a late breakfast, what will happen is during the time that you're eating there, they will start to transition the buffet over into lunch food, but you will pay breakfast prices, so you'll get to try a bit of the breakfast food and some of the lunch food, but for the price of just the breakfast. That can be a really good hack as well, because you're meeting the characters and then trying different types of food but for the cheaper price, which is wonderful. I thought now we would do something that could be upsetting, and I do apologise if this is controversial. But I want to talk about some of the restaurants that I think are a bit overrated. They're things that you maybe will have heard about a lot, but they don't necessarily give you the experience, or the price point, you're not getting like the food that you would expect. So interestingly, I'm going to start with Ohana Dinner. Now this is so famed. People talk about Ohana noodles like they were just like the holy grail. People are obsessed with them. But I have to say the past couple of years that they've changed the menu slightly, and I don't think the menu's as good. I don't think it means it's bad. I don't think at all. But I know when people had been talking about like the noodles and the food here, I was so excited to go. And I found the meal fine, but I wouldn't write home about it, and it's not somewhere I'd run back to. So it's one of those that it doesn't quite live up to the hype. Somewhere else, Be Our Guest. Again, I think the food on offer doesn't really match the price point that you pay, but what you go here for is the amazing setting. To go inside the Beast Castle, one of the rooms that you can dine in is the ballroom, and it is absolutely stunning. I cried, which is ridiculous. Who cries at the decor of a restaurant? It's me. I'm that person. But it's really beautiful inside. But for what you're paying, the food isn't going to be like worth that price. Somewhere that if you've seen any of my vlogs before, you will know I did not enjoy was Cosmic Rays. Now this is a fast food quick service restaurant in Tomorrowland in Magic Kingdom, and it is famed for having an amazing animatronic called Sunny Eclipse, who is your entertainer. And I'd seen little videos. I'd also popped in there at times when it wasn't open, and I'd seen Sunny and I was like, oh, this is fun, I'll go and eat there. Let me tell you, it was so stressful as a dining experience. One, the food was not good, and I typically find, apart from Akershus and Cosmic Rays, I've never really had a bad meal at Disney World. I've never had something, there might be things where I'm like, I'm not in a rush to go back, but there's nothing that I've been like, I wouldn't go back, apart from those two. But the food here was not good. Now I have seen other people dine here, and mine just looked very undercooked. I was supposed to have, it was like a patty melt, which was basically a hamburger inside toast, which is already curious, but you know, we went with it. And the bread was just not very toasted, so it was a bit soggy. It was just not a good meal. And then inside is like an echo chamber. It's just this like really big room, and having like 400 people shouting over each other because they can't hear because it's so loud, and then that's getting louder and louder because there's hundreds of people shouting over each other, and then you've got Sunny Eclipse trying to blare over the top of everyone to try and keep you entertained. And I had to put headphones in because I was like, I can't sit in here, it's stressing me out so much. So I had to put my headphones in, try and block it all out just so I could eat my meal that I wasn't enjoying and leave. So I would say if you get easily overstimulated, definitely avoid this. And the food, again, it's not great. Casey's Corner. I know this is an icon in the Disney parks, but I think because it's so popular, the quality of the food can be inconsistent. And I've never had a good hot dog when I've been there. It's just one of those things. I think because they're just so busy, what you get is just kind of what's available, and they're just rushing through it. And I remember the last time I went there, I ended up having to take the first one back because it was stone cold, and then I got the second one and it was all like soggy and falling apart, and I was just like, oh no. And the time previous, again, I'd had it where it was like falling apart, but I thought maybe it was just a bad time, so I went back and then I had to send it back, and I was just like, oh no. I've given it a go a few times and I just don't think it's consistent enough for me. I'm like, I'm looking for a good hot dog experience and I'm not having it. So that's something I skip over. As I mentioned, Akershus, I had a bad experience, but it's one of those things that it can be a one-off. You can't necessarily judge it, but I do know people that have gone since the menu update, and it's that thing of like the food isn't the best. It's not like the worst thing ever. It's not like horrendous and disgusting, but it's just not the best. There's a lot of people that are just like, I didn't really enjoy it. Coral Reef in Epcot. I think what's interesting at Epcot is there's so many restaurants to choose from that inevitably they're not all going to be the best restaurant you've ever been in. And Coral Reef, again, like the food, a lot of people are like, it's fine, it's mediocre, but I think there are better places to eat in Epcot. And that's the thing, isn't it? Especially table service meals, you are paying a pretty penny for them. They're not cheap. So you want to go somewhere that you're going to enjoy the food, because if you're investing in it, I want to be able to enjoy it. This might be shocking, but Space 220 restaurant, and the only reason I put this down is I think Space 220 lounge is much better because you have complete flexibility. You can just have drinks, you can order off of the lounge menu, or you can even order off of the normal menu, but you just pay a la carte instead of a set menu. And the reason I've got this down is the set menu situation. So lunch is a 2-course meal, dinner is a 3-course meal, and you are tied in to that. You can't go, I'll just have a main. You have to have the set menu. And because of that, it's quite pricey. And where you've got the lounge, I think the lounge is just so much of a better experience, and you can tailor it to actually what you want. You can make it as cheap or as expensive as you like, instead of being like tied to a set menu. So that's the only reason I don't recommend the restaurant. As I mentioned earlier, Chef Mickey's. Out of the character dining meals, I think this is the most rushed and chaotic one. So again, I think purely for that, because if you're going to a character dining experience, you really want the character dining part to be the good part of the experience. And I think here it's fine, but it's just so quick. Rainforest Cafe and T-Rex. Now these are 2 restaurants that have animatronics. And I think they're really, really fun for families. But again, it's that thing of you're paying for the fun environment, not necessarily the food. So if you have kids or you're an adult that loves animals or dinosaurs, it can be quite a fun environment to dine in. But just know the food is not what you're going there for. It's definitely the experience. But next, I thought we should touch upon the hardest to get dining reservations. So that if you're booking your dining, you kind of know which ones to prioritise booking. So Cinderella's Royal Table, super, super popular, particularly at breakfast or firework time, because you can actually be inside the castle as the fireworks are going off, which is an amazing experience. But that makes it super, super popular, because where else can you get to do that? And where it's princess dining as well, that is really, really popular, so that is a hard to get one. Ohana breakfast, because like I say, you can't really see Lilo and Stitch anywhere else. You've got that amazing setting. The breakfast food's really, really nice. Dinner is also popular. It's not as hard to get as breakfast, but it is still one of the harder to get reservations. So I'd put that like midway on your list. But breakfast for sure, put it as a priority. Topolino's Terrace, because it has that holy trifactor of being amazing food, great location, and fantastic character experience. That's always going to be really, really popular. And where it only has a breakfast you don't have the option of having all day long to get reservations, so it can be a bit harder to get reservations. Space 220 restaurant and lounge, very difficult to get. Lounge, more difficult, because I think a lot of people are turned off by the set menu of the restaurant, so everyone's like, let's go to the lounge, but because of that, it's really can be difficult to get, so just prioritize that. Something that is great is the Fantastic Dining package. Now, particularly if you have the dining plan, because most of the restaurants are 1 credit, it's a fantastic use of a credit because you get a meal, but also a prime seat for Fantastic, which is great because you're sitting in the best spot, and also you don't have to get there as early, which can be a big benefit, because like we said, if you're in the parks, you want to be spending it in the parks, not just waiting around. And I would say if you're paying out of pocket, sometimes the Fantastic Dining package can be very expensive because it depends on what you eat. So if you eat the most expensive thing that's offered and you have an alcoholic drink, you're only paying a little bit extra for the Fantastic Dining package. So that can still be a really good option. However, someone like me, with the vegan options, cheapest options on the menu, don't really drink alcohol, you're going to be paying significantly more for the Fantastic part. So it just depends on your priority. However, if you have the dining plan, definitely use this because it's wonderful use of a credit. And that also goes for Epcot. They have festivals throughout the year. So there's 4 different festivals, and they will all have free concerts. So there's like Broadway shows, there's bands, and they do the dining packages for these concerts. So basically, again, if you have the dining plan, you can use 1 credit for most of the restaurants. There are some that are 2, so just be aware of that. But the 1 credit is fantastic because you can pick your restaurant and then you're going to get a seat for the concert. So if it's someone you really want to see as well, because they do have like Hanson and Boys to Men, and like it's really interesting the bands that they have up here, and you get to see these concerts for free, and you don't have to queue for ages. You know you've got a guaranteed seat, so they can also be good. And the time I would say it's really beneficial is the candlelight processional. So Epcot have Festival of the Holidays, which is all themed around Christmas, and their big show is the candlelight processional, which is the Bible story, or like the nativity story. But they have guest speakers, so they'll have famous actors and, you know, just entertainers, and they will be the person doing it. So a couple of years ago I was booking candlelight processional, and I was booking it for a few different people. Everyone wanted to go and see Josh Gad, who's obviously the voice of Olaf. Wonderful. And that is a really great use of dining credits because that's a super popular show. People literally queue for hours to get in. So if you want to see some of the really big names and you want to see that, definitely get that dining plan. And of course, in general, character dining is always really, really popular. So there are some that are worth putting closer to the top of your list. I would say, apart from stuff like Ohana Topolino's, Cinderella's Royal Table, you don't have to book them as your top priorities, but maybe in the middle so you can get the ones that you want. Now it's time to kind of talk about dining plans, because particularly coming from the UK, we have the free dining offer where, depending on where you stay, you do get dining plans included, which is wonderful. But of course, you can also buy them yourself, so you might want to add them to your holiday if you don't have the free dining offer. So there are currently 3 tiers. Well, let me explain. There's 2 tiers as of this moment that I'm speaking right now. 3 tiers are returning. There always used to be 3 tiers of the dining plan. The dining plan disappeared. When it reappeared, there was just 2 tiers. 3 tiers coming back 2027. So the 3 tiers are going to be the quick service, the table service, or the deluxe table service dining plan. So the quick service dining plan, you get 2 quick service meals a day, a drink with each of them that can be alcoholic or non-alcoholic. You also get a snack and a resort refillable mug. The table service dining plan, you get 1 quick service and 1 table service meal a day, a drink with both, which can be alcoholic or non-alcoholic, a snack and a resort refillable mug. And then the deluxe table service dining plan is you get 2 table service meals a day that come with a drink, either alcoholic or non-alcoholic, a snack and a resort refillable mug. Now, what's interesting is the free dining offer had a bit of a problem because when the dining plan returned, it had 2 tiers. However, there's 3 tiers of resort. So they had to kind of just make one up. And it's not really a free dining, it's not a proper dining plan. So if you have the free dining offer and you're staying at a value resort, you will get 1 quick service meal and a drink a day. So you're not getting a full dining plan, but you are getting 1 quick service meal and a drink covered, which is helpful. If you've got the moderate, if you're staying at a moderate resort, you will have got the quick service dining plan. And there you get the 2 quick service meals a day and all of the other things that come with it. And deluxe get the table service dining plan. Now what's interesting is you can upgrade. So say you're at a value resort and you're not really getting a dining plan, you can upgrade to the quick service or table service dining plan. Now interestingly, everyone can now also upgrade to the deluxe dining plan if you are staying in 2027. Now I would say it's a lot of food, and also it does mean having 2 sit-down meals a day, so it does take quite a lot of time out of your visiting. So I don't always know if it's the best, and also remember you're going to have to pay tip on top. So it's going to be, tip's going to come out to lots and lots and lots of money. But I would say what's great is if you want all of your meals covered but you're happy to have the food where you just can kind of get in and get out, then the table service dining plan is great. If you do like those sit down meals, you do like the character dining and all of those things, then the table service option can be great. Now I've got the one that isn't a dining plan. I'm staying at a value resort, so I've got 1 quick service meal a day and a drink. But what's actually quite nice is it gives you a lot of flexibility, because it means that other meals you can decide if you want quick service or table service. You're not locked into a set amount of credits. So that's actually quite nice, particularly for this trip, because where it's a birthday trip, I'm going to want to do some table service dining. So to know, oh, I'm going to be able to do that because I've got that flexibility is wonderful. And interestingly, I did look at how much would it be for me to upgrade to the table service dining plan, but then I also looked at my spreadsheet that has all of the costs of everything that I could possibly eat in it. Which again, it's not normal, people aren't doing that. But when I looked at where I would potentially like to dine, it was still cheaper for me to pay out of pocket than to upgrade the dining plan. And again, I think that's because the vegan options tend to be cheaper, don't really drink alcohol. So for me, upgrading the dining plan would have not financially been sensible. So I do think if you are thinking about upgrading your dining plan, do look into that, because again, if you don't really drink alcohol and you don't pick the most expensive things on the menu, it's not always worthwhile upgrading, because you can end up spending more, which is definitely not what we want. We want the good value for everything. What I would say though is if you have a free dining plan, is don't worry about trying to max the value out, because you will hear a lot of people talking about this is the best place to eat because, you know, it costs the most, so it's a really good use of a credit. If you've got the free dining plan, I think eat wherever you want, because then you're going to have the better experience, because you're eating the food that you enjoy, and it was free, it was part of an offer. If you're paying for the dining plan, then it's worthwhile looking into, is it financially the best? Because sometimes it is that thing of, to get the most out of it, you're having to eat the most expensive thing and drink the most expensive drink, and if you don't like those things, you're not having the best experience. So I think it's great for convenience. If you just want to know all the meals are paid for and it's just done, we don't have to take money with us and worry about it, it can be great for that reason. Otherwise, if you're going to be worrying about like getting the most value out of the dining plan, it can take a lot of the fun out of eating, because you're just chasing the most expensive option, and then you end up eating things you wouldn't necessarily have. So if that's going to be a thing, I wouldn't do that, because it's just not worth it. It's not the one. And nobody goes to Disney and then wants to have to be worrying about like, oh, but this isn't the most expensive option, even though it's the one I want to eat, it's just not the best value. And you just go, no, just eat what you like. You're having a good time, you're on holiday. What I would say the best use of dining credits are character dining meals. Most of them are 1 credit. So that is the best thing to do, because like I say, anything that's 2 credits, you're not getting very good value, because you just can't ever get a meal as expensive as what 2 credits are worth. But anything that is 1 credit, look into. And there's also caveats. So somewhere like Acacius or I'm trying to think if there's any others, but definitely Acacius, their breakfast is 1 credit, But if you go later in the day, it's 2 credits. So look into things like that, because there could be ways that you can do a meal more cheaply, or you might end up accidentally overspending on credits without realising. Fantastic dining packages, like we say, they're a really good use of credit, because all of those restaurants are 1 credit alone. But to upgrade to the Fantastic Dining package is still 1 credit, which is great. And it's just so nice to be able to have that prime seating and not have to get there so early, which is fantastic. And the Epcot concert packages, they can also be really, really good, particularly the Candlelight Processional. I wanted to give you some tips about booking your Disney dining, because this is my topic that I love. I love booking the dining. When I first started being the person that was organising the Disney trips, for like my own personal trips, there was so much like excitement and stress and worry about getting the dining reservations, because obviously you take loads of time to plan where you want to dine by looking at the reviews and the menus, and you're like, right, I think I've decided. And then knowing like, right, it's going to go live at 11 o'clock, the clock is ticking down, they sell out super fast, what's the best strategy, all of that. I did so much research, but then I used to find it really stressful booking dining, because it was that thing of like, oh my god, what if we do miss out? What if it sells out? What are we going to do? And over time you learn tips and tricks and the ways to do it. So now I get all the rush of the excitement and the adrenaline, but less of the stress. So it's so nice to know the best strategy. So I thought I'd give you some of the tips that I use. So the first things first, put the harder to get dining reservations further into your trip. If you are staying on site at that 60-day mark, you can book up to 10 days of your trip at that time. And then the rest of the days of your trip, you just book each consecutive day, 1 at a time. Putting those hard to get dining reservations further into your trip is fantastic, because so few people then have access to those dates. So that is the way to do it, and you'll have much more flexibility when it comes to times and availability doing that. Always book via the website, not the app. The app can be quite glitchy, and the website is just much easier. And then it will also come on to one of my other tips, which is you need to have all of the restaurants that you are going to dine in open up in their own tab. And of course, that's just much easier to go between if you're using the website. And I will have all of the tabs open in the order that I'm going to book them. So hardest to get first, and then I just work my way through them one by one. Book as soon as it goes live. So reservations, if you're from the UK like me, go live at 11 AM. It's 7 AM Orlando time. Book it then, because like I say, some restaurants will sell out within minutes, particularly if you're doing it earlier in your trip. So if you're wanting to go to a hard to get restaurant in the first couple of days, those reservations will go immediately, and then it's really hard to get reservations. So just be ready to go as soon as it is live, and that's the best chance you will have. And what I would also say is be sure to log on to the website in advance. Have everything open up in advance. You don't want to get there like a minute or two before and still be doing all of this admin. You want it to be all ready to go, so the second it's 11 you can just refresh the page and start booking. So what I would say as well is once it does go past 11, you do need to refresh all the pages so that they know that you have logged in, because otherwise if you've already got a page open, it won't necessarily realise that the time has changed and you're logged in and all of that. So just do that, and you don't panic. The dates will come up, because at first it will look like nothing's changed, but just refresh the page and it will all be fine. If you are going solo like me, book for 2 people, and this is because for some weird reason they do kind of not really have reservations for 1. I don't know why they've done this, where they've gone no, that's weird, don't dine on your own. It's silly. But if you book for 2 people, you're going to be sat at a table for 2 anyway, so it doesn't really make any difference. And until they update the system so that you can book for 1, then you just have to find a way to book, because you shouldn't have to miss out on the dining. And then what you can do is when you arrive, if it's a table service restaurant, you will get a notification on your phone where you can do an online check-in, and at that point you can just say it's 1 person instead of 2, or if you check in with the people, you can just say, oh, I'm just here on my own tonight, and they will just change it to let you know that it's 1 person. You know, it's not a problem at all. I've never encountered any issues. So yeah, until they make the system fairer for solo diners, book for 2 people, and then you'll get many more reservations open up to you. Now, if you're at the opposite end, if you're a large group visiting, you may need to book multiple tables. Interestingly, the system doesn't allow one person to do this. You can only have one person booking one table. So if you're a group of like 8 people, you might want to do 2 tables of 4. And then what you will need is to have 2 separate accounts, both booking around the same time. So if you wanted to eat at 6 o'clock, both try and get a 6 o'clock reservation. And then hopefully you will be able to sit near each other. That's not always going to be possible. You can let them know when you arrive. You may have to wait a little bit. If they can accommodate you, they will, but just be aware you might have to split up. But interestingly, even though a lot of people do visit Disney World in big groups, they don't have a lot of tables for big groups, and because they're so limited, they will sell out really quickly, so it can be hard to get those reservations. So if that's the case, have the option to split up into 2 tables and you'll be able to dine much easier. I would also say be flexible with your times. If you know we want to eat at dinner, if you're dead set on it's got to be 6 o'clock, that might be difficult. But if you're like between like 6 and 7:30, that's much better. And also, if you're happy to eat outside of peak dining hours, you will have much more availability, because obviously between like 12 and 1:30 and like 6 and 7:30, it's really busy. But outside of those times, it can be easier to get reservations. I would also say have backup dates. So if there's a restaurant you really want to go to, say Cinderella's Royal Table, and you want to go to it kind of early in your trip, if you're going to be visiting Magic Kingdom again later in your trip, have the later date as a backup option. Because if for whatever reason that first date is sold out, you then know, okay, well, we can look at that other date and you'll have much better availability. So if you are going to be in the same area, it's quite easy to switch between reservations. So I always have that in mind. Something to be aware of is for Cinderella's Royal Table and Hoop-Dee-Doo, these are the only dining reservations you have to actually pay for at the time of booking. So just be aware of that. The good news is, if you do have a dining plan, they will use the dining plan guarantee instead. So you don't pay anything, they will just use those credits in advance, sort of thing. If you don't go, if you cancel, they won't have used the credits, it's absolutely fine. Same if you have paid, they will give you a refund. Just do check the terms and conditions of how long in advance you need to let them know that you're not coming. But they are interesting because you have to pay for them in advance, which other ones you don't have to do that. Now, if you do miss out on any dining reservations, I really like the website mousedining.com. Here you can set up alerts, so you can say what restaurant you're looking for and the dates and the times, and anytime a reservation comes available, they will contact you. So there's a free version where they will email you, or there is a paid version, which is only about like $8 or something a month, where they will text you, and you get that notification much quicker than the email one. So you have a higher likelihood of getting what you like. The other option is to also just keep checking yourself, because closer to your trip, people start to change up their plans and cancel dining. So even when you're out there, sometimes you will find the perfect reservation open up. So don't ever fear, like there are options if you don't get it at the time you are booking at the 60-day mark. And also a lot of restaurants do walk-up reservations. Now sometimes these can be quite a long wait. However, what's quite helpful is on the Disney World app, you can now see the current walk-up wait times for table service restaurants, which is really, really helpful. So again, if you don't manage to get a reservation, do check that. And if you turn up early and kind of just see if they can fit you in that day, they may be able to, so that's fantastic. Something I would say is if you are going to be travelling to different parks or restaurants to dine, they do factor in transportation time. Now Disney say to give yourself 90 minutes to get from one place to the other in time for reservations. Sometimes that's not going to be needed. So for example, if you are in Animal Kingdom Park and you're going to go to Animal Kingdom Lodge, the bus takes 5 minutes. So of course you do need to factor in waiting time for the bus and stuff like that, but it's not going to take 90 minutes. However, if you were going from Animal Kingdom to the Contemporary Resort or something like that, that may take much longer. So just be sure to factor in transport time. And of course the other option is to hire me. I can take all of the stress away and get you all the reservations that you're looking for, and also give you tips and advice. So if you have a restaurant and you've got it early in your trip, I can say, oh, actually, if that's not available, we can switch it to this day and give you lots of advice about the best restaurants to go to, how to use your dining credits, the best ways to use your dining credits, stuff like that. So if you do need any help or assistance, do contact me or head to my website, mostmagicalguides.com, to look up the dining booking service. And yeah, it's just such a joy. And it's always so nice to send such a happy email to be like, it's all booked. And now you can just go and enjoy all of your dining. And I absolutely love it. Like I said, I still get the adrenaline rush. It's always still so thrilling. So yeah, if you're not keen on that stress though, give it to me and I will just thrive on it. It's like, I feel like it's my Olympics. I've been training for all of these years, and now when I go, I'm just like so pumped and ready to go at 11 and be like, smash that button and get them booked. So I thought we would quickly touch upon the cost of dining. And like I say, I think all I love to do is look up all of the menus in advance, which is not realistic for people. But if you do know where you want to dine, I do recommend just noting down even like a rough cost so that you know what to budget for. And like we say, I do add the tax and the tip. But if you're looking for more like a rule of thumb, then quick service meals in Disney are typically between, say, $14 to $18, including your tax. So if you budget that, if you're adding a drink as well, I'd budget for around $22 just to be safe. And then table service is probably around $60. So what could be really good is if you know, okay, we're probably going to have like a table service and a quick service meal a day. If you're budgeting for around $80 or so, you should be okay. Now I have heard some people just to make their life really simple say $100 a day, and that can also include snacks, drinks in the park, stuff like that. And it's just like a flat number per person to work from. But if you're looking for just the dining itself, those are good guides. And when it comes to character dining breakfasts on average are about $55, lunch or dinner are about $68. So it's good to have a ballpark figure in mind, and that can help you just plan a budget if you're not wanting to have to sit there and do all of the calculations and the maths like I do. Because like I say, that's not normal. That's not what a lot of people do. But some of the dining experiences I want to touch upon, because as well as just having restaurants and the meals that you need to have throughout the day, there are like some fun ways you can do something special with dining in Disney. So of course, like we say, we've got the Epcot festivals, and not only do they have like the concert series dining packages, but they also have loads of food booths. Now of course the most famous one is food and wine, but all of the festivals will have food booths. So Epcot gets even more dining than it has, and they have food from all around the world. What's really good is a lot of the options at the food booths are considered a snack credit. So if you have the dining plan, it could be a really fantastic use of credits by going to these festivals and trying all of the different foods on offer, which is absolutely wonderful. You also have firework dessert parties. So in Magic Kingdom, you have Happily Ever After, and there's 3 options. You've got the pre-firework party, the post-firework party, and sweets and seats. So the pre and post-firework party is the exact same dining location, the exact same viewing location, and the only thing that differs is which time you have your desserts. So the pre-party you have your desserts before the fireworks, and the post-party you have them after the fireworks. And then we all stand in the same viewing area. I've done this before, absolutely loved it. Now whenever I go to see Happily Ever After, it's my favourite fireworks show of all time. I can never see it because I wait for like an hour and a half on Main Street. I think I've got my spot, and the second the show starts, everyone puts their kids on shoulders and I don't see anything. So I was like, I'm fed up with this. I'm going to go to a firework dessert party, and it was great. The viewing area is fantastic. It's to the right hand side of the castle hub. You're in this like grassy area, and you have a really great view of the projections. And the fireworks, wonderful. And I did the post party, so I actually got to that area about 90 minutes before and just sat and relaxed and people watched. Some people brought some like food for themselves and just sat on the grass, had my lovely viewing spot so that I was right at the front of that viewing area. And it was a wonderful experience. Now, what I would say is the pre-party, I think, is more aimed at families because obviously after the fireworks, then going to have desserts, it's going to be quite a late night, and when you've got little kids it can be too late, but also the idea of giving them loads of sugar just before bedtime might not be as appealing. So the pre-party I think is more aimed at for families. Now what I would say, I don't actually think this is particularly good for families, because the viewing area is going to predominantly be adults, and because you've paid to be there you cannot put kids on shoulders. It's one of the rules, it can't happen. So if you have kids, there's a very good likelihood they won't get a very good view. I think this was kind of like a solution to the kids on shoulders problem that we find at Disney World. So adults that are happy to pay so they can see the fireworks can go in there. But obviously if you're a family, you're paying the same amount but you're not going to necessarily see more. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for families, but for adults I think it can be a really good option. Something that could be good for families is suites and seats, and this can also be good for people that want to be able to rest their feet whilst they're watching the fireworks instead of standing. The downside with this is you don't have a perfect view of the projections on the castle. It is obstructed by trees. Now you can see the fireworks, you can see Tinkerbell, obviously you can hear the music, but you won't get the best projection view. However, if you don't mind that, you don't mind a partial view of the projections, it can be great because you get your own table, you get to sit down, and that is obviously much better experience for your feet. But also if you have kids, it'll be a bit easier to see things and experience things because you won't have lots of adults standing up in front, which is wonderful. But yeah, I loved it. I loved the range of desserts. You also had drinks included, so you could have beers, wine, champagne. Yeah, it was really, really, really fun, and I would definitely do it again. And I've not done sweets and seats, I've only done the post party, but I did like that you had the projection view as well. And like I say, I managed to sit on the grass for a long time, so standing up to watch the fireworks wasn't a problem because my feet were nice and rested. So all around, loved it. You also have fireworks viewings parties over in Epcot. So you can dine at either Rose and Crown dining room or Spice Road table. You get a meal with a view. It lasts 90 minutes and you just, from the restaurant itself, will be watching the fireworks. So that can be an option. Now, what I would say is Epcot, because the fireworks take place around that massive lake, there's loads of good places to watch the fireworks. So I don't think you necessarily need to pay for a view, because I feel like you can find good places to stand with an unobstructed view without much hassle. The reason why Magic Kingdom is so good is because Magic Kingdom is like the worst possible design of place to have fireworks, where it's just like a hub and then a narrow street. And it's like, yeah, this is too crowded. Whereas Epcot is lovely and spacious. So I don't always know if the firework viewing packages are worth it, in my opinion, for Epcot. As we touched upon, you have Hoop-de-Doo, which is an amazing show as well as a meal. It's 2 hours long. You get a 3-course family style meal, but the show is really, really fun. It's also interactive, so you might get pulled up on stage. There's actually 3 tiers of seating. So you can either sit in the very kind of main section of the room, you could sit on the sides or on the balcony. So if you're not keen on the interaction but you want to see the show, then the balcony can be the best option. Now, the tickets do change depending on the tier. So if you are on the balcony, obviously that's cheaper than sitting in the main part of the room. However, there's not that much difference, honestly. I think it's about $4 per tier. I think it's about $70 for the balcony, about $78 for the seating that's in the main area. So if you are looking to have the full experience, definitely pay the $8 extra and do the main seating, but it's just so much fun. So if you're looking for a dinner and a show, that's a really good option. The other option, as we've talked about before, is the Fantasmic dining package, where you get the meal and the prime seating for Fantasmic. Now, one thing to note is basically every table service restaurant in Hollywood Studios is included, apart from Roundup Rodeo Barbecue. That's no longer part of the Fantasmic dining package. If you are on the dining plan, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant use of a credit. So definitely do that. The only one I would avoid is Hollywood Brown Derby, because that's 2 credits. So you're not getting your money's worth, sort of thing. But any of the others, absolutely do that. Now, what I would say is, interestingly, typically the latest dinner reservation is around 5 p.m. so that you've got enough time to dine and then mosey on over to Fantasmic, because you'll be seeing the first Fantasmic of the night. Sometimes of year they have 2 showings. However, you're going to be seeing the first showing of the night. Now, what is interesting that I've noticed this year is for the Halloween season, there are sometimes Fantasmic dining packages for the second showing of the night. And I think that's because on the nights there is a Halloween party in Magic Kingdom, obviously, unless you've got a ticket for the party, you can't be there. So a lot of the other parks get much busier. So I think to be able to cope with that, they do sometimes put that on. However, it's very rare. So just in your mind, know the latest dining reservation I'm most likely going to be able to get is 5 p.m. Just so you're aware. But of course, the restaurants do also serve lunch. Somewhere like Hollywood and Vine also does breakfast. So you do have other options. And we've covered Disney dining, which is very exciting. And I just love dining. I'm obsessed with talking about the dining. I love it. I think about where I'm going to eat in Disney World every single day. And like I say, just booking dining is such a joy. So this has like been so much fun for me, because it's the thing I love talking about the most. But we've got a whole nother section now, because we talk about Universal dining. And as I say, this is less familiar to me, because over my time visiting Universal, I've eaten in a handful of restaurants, but because of the hurricane, I didn't get to eat in hardly any restaurants because I wasn't able to go into the parks. And then HHN, I'm just there, and I'll pop in somewhere like Mel's to have a little sit down in a meal whilst carrying on the night. So it's going to be so much fun to head over to Universal, because again, they have quick service, they have table service, loads of different cuisines on offer. And I do think Universal, year upon year, their food is getting better, because I do remember back in 2018, it wasn't like the best food necessarily. However, they are continuously improving. So there's some really great food at Universal now. So interestingly to note, the quick service meals at Universal tend to be more expensive than Disney, but the table service meals tend to be cheaper than Disney. So it evens out over time. There's also way less table service restaurants on offer, so that's just something to be aware of. But also it means that most likely you might be able to spend a little less, because there's just, you don't need to eat in as many table service restaurants. However, if you're looking for great table service meals, City Walk, which is like the entertainment district, is fantastic, because there's so many good restaurants there. Now, something I'm so excited about is Epic Universe in general, but the dining at Epic Universe looks incredible, because they've obviously really thought about making that a focus, really wanting to have good food in this brand new park. And it looks so good, and particularly as a vegan, there's so many fantastic vegan options, which is very, very exciting. So cannot wait to get to Epic Universe. And again, I do love to look up the menus and reviews in advance, so I've been doing that for Universal, so I can decide where to go. I would say some people that I love looking up: Princess and the Bear, absolutely fantastic. They cover both Disney and Universal. Princess is vegan, Bear is not vegan, so it's really great if you are going to restaurants and you have mixed dietary needs. They're fantastic to watch, because they can give you really detailed and honest reviews of what the food is like, whether you are vegan or not. So I absolutely love them. And when it comes to Universal Orlando Vegans page is wonderful. It's run by the amazing Shelby. They have all of the latest updates of what you can dine and enjoy that is vegan across the Universal parks, the hotel, City Walk, and it's just such a helpful resource, because Disney are quite good at putting what's marked as vegan on their menus, and Universal, the Universal owned restaurants, same, you're going to be able to easily identify them, but some of the others it's not so easy, and Shelby does all of that really hard work of speaking to Universal to find out what is vegan, what isn't, always updating the information. So wonderful resource, and it's how I'm kind of picking out. I'm looking at Princess of the Bear's reviews and Shelby's amazing website, and together I'm deciding where to dine at Universal, which is wonderful. Now, what I would say is, as a rule of thumb, quick service is around $24, including a drink, and you obviously will then have to put your tax on top, and then table service is around $50. So like I said, a bit cheaper for table service, a bit more expensive for quick service. But again, you could just do that, you know, $80 or so a day if you wanted to. If you want to include your snacks and drinks, $100 a day, and then you're sorted. And the good news is, if you kind of over budget, towards the end of the trip, you'll think, oh wow, I've got loads of money left, so you can start using it for like more merchandise and stuff. I always think it's better to over budget than under budget. And then, you know, you have that wonderful thing of either coming home with money or, more likely, buying things whilst you're out there that you weren't expecting to buy. So I'm going to let you know now some of the things that I'm most excited for to try, and the restaurants I'm most excited for to try, and hopefully it'll give you an idea of which ones have like some of the best food on offer, because that's something I like we were saying, when you're spending money, because they're not cheap meals regardless of where you're eating, you want to make sure you're getting good food, and I'm very dedicated to finding where it is. So in Epic Universe, I'm so excited to go to the Oak and Star because they have breakfast there, and they have a tofu scramble. I love tofu scramble in general. Being able to have a breakfast inside a theme park is such a joy. It just makes your life so much easier. So I can't wait to try that. Very excited for Das Steakhouse. First and foremost, the theming. It's in Dark Universe, all about Universal monsters. It's going to be absolutely incredible. But they have a stuffed cabbage, and I love stuffed cabbage. And I also think that's such a unique thing to have in a theme park. Can't wait to try that. Mead Hall had a vegan burger, and I was like, okay, sure. The people are raving, but the people love it. They keep saying it's like one of the best vegan burgers they've ever had. And I was just like, because it just seemed like I think it's kind of like a bean burger. I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. But people have said it's incredible, so interested in that. Pizza Moon, they have a Harvest Moon pizza. Lots of people have been saying this is a really good pizza joint. So excited to try that. Cafe Le... Well, I'm gonna mispronounce this because it's kind of French, but well, you might not know, but I don't speak French. I really should learn French because I go to Disneyland Paris so often, and apart from the basics, I don't know French, and it very much confuses me because it's not phonetic. The way it's written down is not the way it's pronounced, and it trips me up. But Café de la Sirène, which we you know, that's, just take that with a pinch of salt because that's definitely not how that's pronounced. They have a cassoulet, and they also have a ratatouille baguette. The fact they have multiple vegan options is the dream. But then the problem is, I'm now like, they both sound amazing. So how do you choose between them? And yeah, it's just so wonderful to have multiple options. They also do a vegan croissant for breakfast. So that's going to be quite nice as well. Also, the table service restaurants there. Blue Dragon, Asian food. Smashed cucumber. Mapu tofu. I need to eat it immediately. Atlantic, they have a really nice mushroom ceviche, and they've got like a Romanesco kind of dish, which is kind of like a cauliflower type thing. They're very distinctive looking if you've ever seen one, but I love that it's like that sounds like it's kind of like Whole Foods rather than faux meat. And again, really interesting options. You wouldn't expect to hear those sorts of dishes inside a theme park. So I'm thinking of doing one of those restaurants for my birthday itself, because I'm going to be in Epic Universe for my actual 40th birthday. And they both sound so good. So I'm going to visit both of them, but I don't know which one specifically to do for my birthday. But I do love Asian food, so I'm thinking Blue Dragon. But do let me know if you think there's a preference, what you think I should be doing. I'm over in Universal. I'm really excited to go to the Minions Cafe because they've got Carl's Crispy Cauliflower, and I love cauliflower. And it just sounds so cute. And I've not actually eaten in the Minions area because, in fact, it wasn't open, I don't think. I think the last time I was at HHM was the first time that I'd seen that area. And I'm very excited to eat there, because I think that's just going to be super, super cute. Also, Leaky Cauldron, they have a vegan curry, and they also have a pasty pie. Now, I've had the pasty pie, and it was very good. It was very much like a Cornish pasty. They've done it very, very well. But I do love a curry, and I'm interested to see if it's kind of like a British curry, because we all know, like, in Britain we love curry, love Indian food, but a lot of it is adapted to British palates. So I'm wondering if they're going to do a more traditional curry, or if it'll be more like a British curry, because it's based on, obviously, Harry Potter is based here. So it's going to be really interesting to see. But I love a curry, so that could be really good. Islands of Adventure, the Comic Strip Cafe has orange tofu, and I've never had like orange chicken, like with the mock chicken. Never had it as a dish, and it sounds really interesting. So I'd kind of like to try that. Burger Digs, they have a chorizo chimichanga, which that sounds fantastic. Like vegan chorizo, sign me up. And Cafe 4 has a roast vegetable fettuccine, and it's so nice just to have some pasta sometimes. And you're just like, oh, this is comforting. And it's one of those weird things that, like, obviously pizza is the go-to, like, fast food option. But I'm like, but pasta, guys, we're overlooking pasta in theme parks. So I'm very excited for that. And in City Walk, loads of amazing table service restaurants. I love the Bob Marley restaurant. I've been there before. The food is so good. And there is so many vegan options, because Rastafarians typically eat an Ital diet, which is very similar to a vegan diet. So going to this restaurant, there is so many options. They have these jerk cauliflower wings, which weren't on the menu when I was there last time, so obviously I've got to go back to try them because they sound incredible. They also have an Ital stew. I think they're not on the menu any before, but I had these amazing stuffed peppers. They were so good, so I definitely want to go back there. I'd like to go to Cowfish, because they have this bento box you can get, and there is a vegan version, so you can get like an Impossible burger, some sushi, and I think you also get some sides like smashed cucumber, stuff like that. And I think that sounds nice because you get to try a little bit of everything. And also Big Fire has a plant-based steak, and I'm kind of interested to try that. It sounds quite nice. I have had in the UK ones that I've bought from a supermarket, and they were actually really good. So I'd be really interested to see, like, going to somewhere where they actually know how to cook properly, unlike me, what it's like. So that should be very exciting. And there's also some restaurants at the resorts that I'm curious to go to. So Island Dining has a Thai peanut salad, which sounds right up my street. There's drunken noodles, tofu and black beans. And the thing I'm most excited for, a dark chocolate mousse dessert. And I love a vegan dessert that's a proper dessert, because too many times do we get a fruit salad and I'm like, a fruit salad's nice, but it's not a dessert. It's not indulgent enough. I want something indulgent, and that sounds it. And like I said, I love Asian food, so like everything on that menu sounds incredible. So that's somewhere I definitely want to go to. And yeah, I just think what's so nice now is that it's kind of hard to narrow down where to eat at Universal. Because I'm like, even though I feel like I'm there for quite a good length of time, I think I'm going to be in the parks themselves for about 5.5 days. You're going to go, oh, I'm going to have to start cutting down restaurants because there's too many things that I want to try. What a great dilemma to have, though. But if you do have any recommendations at Universal, like, oh my god, this is a really fun restaurant, you definitely need to eat there, or particularly for a birthday meal, which one you think would be best, do let me know, because I'm so open to knowing more about dining at Universal. Something that is really good to know, though, is Universal also have mobile ordering, so I would definitely be utilising that, because like we say, it just saves you so much time. It's so handy. I do know during HHN, I'd gone into, I think it was the Leaky Cauldron. It's whichever Harry Potter restaurant is inside Universal. And did a mobile order to the table, which was fantastic. So I didn't even have to, like, I just sat down and just ordered my food, which was wonderful. And also with the table service restaurants, you don't have to book as far ahead as Disney. I think because I feel like people tend to stick more to quick service at Universal. I don't know why, I feel like that's my intuition. But it feels like it's not as hard to get reservations, and typically if you book about a month in advance you'll have lots of availability, which is good. So I'm definitely going to get on top of that, so that these table service restaurants I can definitely get a reservation for. Something else we should talk about, if we're talking about dining in general, snacks, because they're a big part of any trip. And particularly Disney have lots of these Instagrammable snacks. They look very, very, very cute. So what I would always say is have a snack budget. Because this is the thing, the snacks can be on the pricey side. So if you keep seeing things you want and you're like, I've got to try that because it's amazing, the price will very quickly creep up. So do have a little budget set aside. That's what I always do. It's one of those things, I always set a budget aside for all of the amazing snacks I want to try, and then because it's so hot in Florida and it suppresses your appetite and the portions are so big, I never buy any of the snacks. So I end up using my snack budget on frozen drinks. Because when you're hot, you're just like, I want to live inside a frozen drink, and there's so many good options. But I thought I'd let you know some of the snacks that I absolutely love. Now, Summer House on the Lake also have a cookie bar, and the cookies are so good. Now, obviously, everyone talks about Gideon's cookies. This is the big thing. If you're in Disney Springs, everyone talks about Gideon's. However, the queue can be really, really long to get in, and they don't have vegan options. So I've never had a Gideon's cookie, obviously. If you're looking for an option that will not have super long queues, but are fantastic cookies and a big variety of different flavours, Summer House is where it's at. It's so good. Like, they have this chocolate chip with sea salt, and it was unbelievable. It's so good, and it's quite a big cookie as well. Like, love it. So don't skip over Summer House cookie bar because it's really good. I also, in Disney Springs, love Salt and Straw. They have loads of different ice cream flavours. They change them up seasonally. So they have some that are like your permanent ones that everyone loves, and then they do change them very often as well. So it's nice that every time you go, you can try different flavours. They do let you sample them beforehand, so you don't have to commit before you know what it's going to taste like, which is great. And they have really interesting flavours. They will have some that you're just like, how is this even an ice cream flavour? It's wild. But they're so good. So even if it's stuff you think that wouldn't go together, it absolutely does. It's amazing. So I really recommend Salt and Straw because it's so much more than just an ice cream shop. I also love Dole Whip. Dole Whip is amazing. The fruity flavours are all vegan and it's just delicious. Like, being in the Florida heat and having some like pineapple soft serve is unbelievable. It's so good. They do loads of flavours as well. Like the strawberry I really like. It's really like strawberry ice cream. There's some that I've not managed to find, but I'd love to try the lime. That's like top of my list. I love to try lime. And they've also had mango, which sounds amazing. So I do love that you do have your classics like orange, strawberry and pineapple, but you do get these random like occasional ones that will pop up, and yeah, it's just so good. I also really like the cookies and cream mousse at Sunshine Seasons. I had it for breakfast once, and I was like, this is definitely not a normal breakfast choice, but you're on holiday and you're in Disney. And it was so good, and it had like a layer of like Oreo, so it wasn't just all mousse, and unbelievably delicious. And there's some that I'm very excited to try that I haven't tried yet. So at my resort, they've got a brand new cookie sandwich that looks amazing, and I'm like, sign me up, trying that immediately. A savoury option, Yoshi's green shell calzone. I've heard these calzones are unbelievable. Everyone raves about them. They're in Epic Universe. They sound so good, and it's really nice actually to have a savoury option, because sometimes it's too much sweet and you're like, okay, we'll have something like this. I also do love a Mickey pretzel when we're speaking of savoury options, and I've sometimes had that for breakfast. It's like a cheap breakfast option, so love that. I'm also tempted to go to Everglazed because they also do a peanut butter coffee. Now, as I say, Gideon's famous for their cookies, but they also have great coffee, amazing cold brew, all happens to be vegan, which is fantastic. However, because the queue to get into Gideon's is so long, I don't want to queue hours for a coffee. I just think that's ridiculous. So I'd rather skip Gideon's, and Everglazed now do their own version of peanut butter coffee. And that's supposed to be able to be made vegan. So I'm thinking about doing that because that sounds like the dream. It sounds absolutely incredible. And then there's some things that I get kind of every trip that I'm excited to go back for. Voodoo Donuts. Voodoo Donuts in City Walk at Universal. Unbelievable. They have so many different flavours. They have great fun designs. So they have one that's like a voodoo doll with a little pretzel stuck in it, like he's being impaled. Like, it's very funny. And most of their donuts can be made vegan, which is wonderful, so you don't have to miss out. It's not like there's only one flavour. You've got so many options, and it's absolutely delicious. Downside is later in the day, a lot of the flavours will start to sell out, so it's one of those things, really, you need to go there for breakfast or in the morning to have the biggest range of donuts available. But they do keep baking them throughout the day, so, you know, sometimes you just get there and you're a bit unlucky and they've sold out of things. But if you go back, you will have more, which is great. And I always get a Schofferhofer. No, technically that's not a snack because that is a drink. But Schofferhofer is this grapefruit flavoured beer in the Germany Pavilion. And for years, it was all the rage. People were talking about Schofferhofer, Schofferhofer, Schofferhofer. I hate grapefruit and I don't like beer. And I was like, that sounds awful. But I had the FOMO bad because everyone talked about it. So I decided I'm going to get the Schofferhofer. It's delicious, guys. It is delicious. If you don't like beer and you don't like grapefruit, you're going to love this. It's absolutely amazing. And they also do different flavoured ones during the festivals. So the festival booths will do other options. So I always get a Schofferhofer. It's one of my favourite things I do in Epcot now, because it's that funny thing of there was this drink that I thought I would not like and now I love it, and it's become a tradition to get it every trip. So I'm very excited to get a Schofferhofer. Interestingly, you can buy Schofferhofer in the UK. So you could go to a supermarket and they sell it in cans, and it will be like less than £2 for a huge can of Schofferhofer. Whereas it's like $12 in Epcot. However, you don't have the experience of being in Epcot drinking your drink, so, you know, you're just paying that. You're just paying extra for that because it's so worth it. But something I would say is snacks can be absolutely huge. So it can be a good option. Say you've got a dining plan where you have 2 meals a day covered, but and you also have a snack. Your snack could actually be your like third meal of the day. So like I was saying, like you could have a Mickey pretzel as like a breakfast or even a lunch. They have things like colossal cinnamon rolls. That is a snack credit. You could easily have that for breakfast. I think you could even share that for breakfast because it's so big. So you can actually use them as like a replacement meal, which is wonderful. And if you have the dining plan, that's a really good option, actually, a really good use of a snack credit. And if you're not wanting to eat a lot of snacks, but it's one of those things, if you're going around the park and you get hungry, you're grabbing them, I would actually recommend bringing some snacks with you, because as I say, the snacks in the park are very expensive. So bringing snacks with you is always going to be cheaper. Some people wait till they get to the US and then go to a US supermarket to get snacks. I don't recommend that, because weirdly, groceries in the US are significantly more expensive than the UK. So if there's snacks you can only get in the US, of course, do that. But if there's anything in the UK that you wouldn't mind just popping in your bag, like some protein bars if you want breakfast in the park or stuff like that, bring them with you from the UK. And then what's great as well is, you know, on the way home, you would have eaten them, all of that space and weight in your case is gone, which is wonderful. But yeah, that's a much more cost-effective way to be able to have breakfast or snacks. Like I say, the festival booths are a fantastic way to use up your snack credits as well if you have the dining plan, because a lot of those options are included as a snack credit, which is wonderful. I also wanted to chat about drinks, because drinks are vitally important. Obviously, Florida is very, very hot. You're very active all day long. Downside is the drinks in the parks are very expensive. It is about $5 for a water or a soda, which is just absolutely bonkers. So what I always do is go to a supermarket and stock up when I arrive. So I normally go to Walmart, and you can get about 24 bottles of water for about $6 compared to $5 for one bottle in the parks. So it's so much cheaper to do it that way. Now, the hotels do also offer refillable mugs. So Disney have their refillable resort mugs. If you have the dining plan, that is included, and you can fill that up at any quick service restaurant in the hotels. Now, unfortunately, these ones cannot be used in the parks. Just be aware of that. Disney does not have a refillable mug option for parks. But you don't just have to get drinks in your own resort. You can take it to other resorts and refill up there, which is great. If you don't have the dining plan, it's $22.99 to buy, and you can refill it throughout the length of your stay, which is wonderful. If you are staying close to the quick service location in your resort, or you'll be getting on the buses, you'll walk past the quick service multiple times a day, that can be a good option. One of the reasons I never pay for the resort mugs is I typically hire a car, so I don't often go to the quick service unless I'm dining there, and I might go once or twice during a trip for that. So the thought of going from my room at like the back of the resort and walking all the way to the quick service just to get a drink, and then all the way back, and then by the time I've got back to my room I've drunk the drink, and then doing that back and forth after like a long day of walking does not sound appealing to me. So that's one reason that I skip over that. Interestingly, Universal has kind of like 3 options when it comes to drinks. You can get the Coke Freestyle refills, so you will get a mug and you can use the Freestyle machines every 10 minutes. You don't have to do it every 10 minutes, obviously. But once you've got a drink, you've got to wait 10 minutes to get the next one. But they have over 100 different flavours of drinks, including park exclusive drinks, which I think is so cool. And they also have a mixture of carbonated and still drinks, which is nice, because I'm someone that I can't drink a lot of fizzy drinks because they make me feel ill. I think they're just too bubbly. So the option to have lots of still drinks as well is so nice. You then also have the option for a refillable mug, and with the refillable mug you can go to any of the soda machines and refill in the parks. The refills cost about $1.49, so it's obviously cheaper than buying the drinks outright, so you just pay for the mug and then pay $1.49 for your refills, but that is typically fountain soda. So just be aware of that. Whereas the Coke Freestyle one, you have the Freestyle machines that have hundreds of different drinks on offer. So that's the main difference. You also then have a resort mug. So you can do the same thing. So it's the refill. You can refill your mug as much as you want, but you can only do it in your resort. And this is something I do think Disney are missing out on. I like that at Universal you can get the refillable mugs or the Freestyle mugs for the parks, because that's something I'm much more likely to do. Now I have to say it's still not economic. You will still pay significantly more than going to a supermarket. However, someone like me, if I have car hire, I will typically have it for the Disney portion, because it's free hotel parking, free park parking. At Universal you have to pay to park at your hotel and in the parks. Now with their free transport and them being so close to the parks, you wouldn't need to park in the parks. But you're looking at $23 minimum per night to park at Universal Resorts. So very, very expensive. If I don't have a car, obviously there's the option of getting like an Uber or Lyft, but it just makes it a bit more difficult to go and get drinks. So I do love the idea of the Freestyle machines, because it's going to be still way more expensive than if I was to go to a supermarket, but the fact that you have so many drinks on offer, such a variety, the park exclusive drinks, and you have that convenience, and you can spend most of your time in the parks, so getting the drinks in the parks much more beneficial. So that's definitely something I think I'm going to get. But like I say, the Disney Resort mug, I'm not going to get that because I'm not going to be near my quick service that often, so it's not going to necessarily worthwhile. So in Universal, the Coke Freestyle machines, the cup that you buy is about $19.99. That first day the drinks are included, and then every day that you then want to use it, it's a $12.99 reactivation charge. So what you could do is just, like, you don't have to do it every single day of your trip. You can also bring it back on future trips, I think, which is fantastic, and you just pay $12.99 to reactivate it. What some people will do is, if there's 2 or 3 or 4 of you and they don't mind sharing, then they will just buy one of those cups and share it. And like I say, you have to wait 10 minutes between refills, but that's kind of an economic way to do it. Also, if you buy multiple mugs, you get it discounted. So one mug is $19.99, but then the more mugs you buy, the cheaper they become per mug, which is great. The refillable mugs cost between $10.99 to about $18, and then it's $1.49 per refill. And then the resort mugs, they actually depend on the resort you're staying in and the length of stay. So the price will vary via whichever resort you're in, but if you do one day, it's normally between $9.99 to about $16. A 3-day mug is about $15 to $19. And if you do one for the length of your stay, it's between $18.99 to $25. So again, that can be quite a good option if you're staying there for a longer period of time. If you're going to be going to your resort quick service quite often. But I think the ones that are in the parks are much more valuable just because you're going to be using them more. And it's much more convenient because you can get drinks anywhere, which is fantastic. Some fun places to get drinks at Disney. Beacon Barrel. This is the Pirates of the Caribbean themed bar in Magic Kingdom. Absolutely amazing. It's not just themed, it's also really interactive. So you will get to see Beaky, who is the parrot. You will also have like lighting and sound effects. Sometimes Captain Jack Sparrow makes an appearance. It's wonderful. It's so good. Over in Galaxy's Edge you have Ogre's Cantina, which is a Star Wars themed bar, and again you sometimes have stormtroopers pop in. There's things that happen if people order certain drinks, so it's like quite a fun atmosphere. You also have Geo 82 in Epcot, which is a Spaceship Earth themed bar, but it is the first adults only bar at Disney World. So you have to be over 21 to go in here, but it's got quite a sophisticated decor. The drinks are really interesting because they have like classics, but there's like twists on them. And the fact that it's adults only is quite nice because it's just like a little oasis away from all of the hustle and bustle in the parks. You just get to kind of have this amazing view over Epcot and just relax in like an adult only environment. Also Space 220 Lounge. What I love about the lounge is you have the exact same experience as going to the restaurant. So when you go to Space 220, the second you arrive, it's an experience. It's not just I'm going to somewhere and it looks like a spaceship. It is a whole experience of you going into space and coming back to Earth and stuff like that. It's so wonderful. And yeah, it's just such a cool environment. And then also Trader Sam's Grotto. This is at the Polynesian Resort. Again, it's a really cool bar because it has animatronics, it has sound effects, lighting effects. What's also really interesting is before 8 p.m, it's family friendly. So between 5 and 8, family friendly. After 8, it becomes adults only. And I think that's something that's really great at Disney. The fact that they're thinking about everyone. That they're like, we want to make sure that families can experience this. But then in the evenings, we can make it adult only so it caters for that kind of crowd. And it's just such a cool experience. And then interestingly, something similar will be coming to the boardwalk in 2027. It's going to be called Hurly Burly, and in the afternoons it's going to be family friendly, and then the evenings it's going to be adult only, 21 and older. So I think that's something Disney are doing super well. And something that might be controversial, but we have to address it because it's important. Starbucks versus Joffrey's. Now, you will see a lot of people talking about coffee at Disney because they have the really cute coffee cups, for one, but they have lots of specialty drinks and stuff like that. Obviously, everyone wants iced or frozen drinks. Fantastic. Starbucks, obviously, we all know Starbucks. You find them everywhere. You will have had a Starbucks. Joffrey's is more of a brand that people associate with Disney. I don't know if it's just a Florida brand or if it is like a US-wide company. Now, I would say I am firmly team Starbucks. I find in Starbucks there's just much more variety of drinks. I find as someone who is vegan, their options are much better. Joffrey's, I think they have a more limited menu. Now, what I would say is if you don't have any dietary restrictions or requirements, they have some really fantastic specialty drinks, so I think they could be really fun to try. I find for me there's not enough interesting drinks on offer. Also, I've had Joffrey's before. I didn't think the coffee was as great. Now, I have to say, if you're just getting Starbucks for the coffee, I think Starbucks coffee is terrible. Let me be frank. Unless you're adding syrups and God knows what, I don't think the coffee itself is not good. Probably Joffrey's baseline coffee is probably better. But I think the overall experience, the drinks on offer, I'm not in love with Joffrey's. I also, when I went to a Joffrey's, and again, it's one of those things that it was just a one-time thing. This is not going to be something that happens all the time. But the staff were like very inattentive. They were like chatting away. There was no one in the queue. It was just me. And they were chatting away. Then they kind of served me, but they weren't paying attention. So they were kind of still chatting. And then I think they actually gave me dairy milk because I was then ill. And I was like, oh no, it's happened. It's the worst. So because of that, it makes me nervous to go back. Whereas I know with Starbucks, they've got it. We know what we're doing. But I'd love to hear what you think. Are you a team Starbucks? Are you a team Joffrey's? People have very strong opinions about this. And like I said, I think Joffrey's do have really fun specialty drinks. So if you can indulge in them, I think they do look super, super fun. But yeah, Starbucks all the way for me. There's just so many drinks on offer. Love the pink drink. Absolutely incredible. It's so refreshing in Florida heat. So I very much enjoy getting one of them, and I'm thinking about, I can't wait to go back and have one of them. Also, I'd like to point out, the size of Starbucks in the US is unbelievable compared to here. Like, our version of a large is basically their small, and their venti is like a bucket. It's unbelievable how big the drinks are. So just be prepared, because they're going to be much more in the cups than you're expecting, and what we're used to here. Before we start wrapping up, of course, we're going to quickly touch upon tips again. Because table service restaurants, tipping is going to be something you need to factor in and budget for. Now, tips, as we say, are typically around 20%. Now, at Disney World, on the receipt, they were actually at the bottom and put the amount for an 18% tip, a 20% tip, and a 22% tip. So you don't have to do any maths. They've done it for you. But as we say, tipping quickly adds up a lot of costs onto the top of your bill. Considering you also have to add tax, you're looking at 27% extra to what you've ordered, which is a huge amount of money. So definitely budget for it. Quick service, you only need to pay the tax, 7%. So no tip is needed. So that can be a great option if you're looking to do more affordable dining. Something that's interesting is not Disney owned quick service restaurants, but maybe some in Disney Springs or definitely outside the parks. They will sometimes ask, oh, do you want to add a tip? Now, this was something that came about in the pandemic when restaurants stayed open even though everywhere else was closed. So, of course, people wanted to be able to tip as like appreciation. And a lot of the places have kind of kept that since, but do not feel pressured. If you're in a quick service restaurant or a coffee shop, something like that, you don't have to add a tip. They're just kind of suggesting it because sometimes people will want to. And like we say, tipping is not included in the dining plan, so definitely budget for that, because that will cost you hundreds of dollars if you don't realise. And tipping can be a very contentious topic because obviously 20% is quite a large amount, and over the course of your holiday you are paying hundreds of dollars in tips. But it's just one of those things that in the US, because of the way servers are paid, they will get maybe $2-3 an hour. They have to make the rest up in tips. The tip is also split between not just your server, but it's also chefs, pot washers, front of house staff. So they split the tips as well. And it's one of those things, until the system changes, it just is what it is. So if you're not comfortable with tipping, you don't want to do that, then just don't visit table service restaurants, because it will be expected. And also, if you don't do it, you will literally be taking money out of someone's pocket, because they will have already been taxed on the amount they're expected to make up in tips. And it's just one of those things, like, it can be a huge expense, and if you're not comfortable with it, then just stick to quick service, because there's so many great quick service restaurants that you could easily avoid table service and it wouldn't be any different. But if you're thinking about doing it and only giving like 10% tip, I would advise not to do that, because you're kind of not essentially paying for the full service that you are receiving. And like I say, we all know it's a system that needs to change. People should just be paid fairly, and it shouldn't be on the customer to pay their wages on top of what they're already paying for in the restaurant. You know, normally people's wages are included in what you're paying in the restaurant. However, because that isn't the case, if you're not comfortable, just stick to the quick service and you don't have the whole hullabaloo to be worrying about. And also, just wanted to quickly touch upon allergy information. So Disney are really, really great with allergies. Like I say, for someone like me who's vegan, I can just see vegan options on the menu. They will also sometimes note what is gluten-free. However, they are really accommodating. So if you need to speak to a chef, if you've got any questions, you can absolutely do that. And they even have a dedicated special diets team that you can email in advance to say, I'm thinking about eating here, here and here. and can you tell me more information? That can be really helpful if you have multiple allergies or intolerances, because that can sometimes be where it's really hard. If you are gluten-free but also allergic to nuts, they can let you know which restaurants are safe for you, or what the chefs can do. And I genuinely think Disney go above and beyond. Like, where I have been to buffets before, they've got vegan options on the buffet, you're like, perfect, but the server will let the chef know and they will cook extra things for you, and I'm like, this is unbelievable service. Like, I would never ever expect that. So it's really good to know if you do have an allergy or an intolerance, you can speak to the chef, they can modify things for you. They're really, really accommodating, which is wonderful. And I also think Universal are also getting much, much better at that. I feel like it was one of those things where, like, it took a little bit longer to catch up to how Disney were operating, but I think now the same. Like, you're going to be able to find options, they're going to be able to help you modify things, let you know what you need to know. So that's really, really handy. And like I say, I always love looking up Princess and the Bear. Their reviews are amazing. You're getting a both vegan and non-vegan honest review of restaurants and dishes, which is so, so helpful. And if you're vegan like me, go to Universal Orlando Vegans page to find out what you can eat at Universal as well, which is just, it's so helpful because you don't have to do all the research. Shelby's done it all, which is wonderful. So a lot of gratitude for Shelby. So something I wanted to touch upon as well is how I plan the dining, because once you kind of know, okay, this is what we want to eat, this is where we want to go, like, we've got the dining plan, we haven't got the dining plan, this is what we've budgeted, is then actually how do you plan and arrange your dining. So something I do love is a spreadsheet. I love a spreadsheet. My spreadsheet has become kind of like famous for people that have been watching my videos because it's a very intense spreadsheet. I don't think anyone needs to have an intense spreadsheet. I think you can make very basic spreadsheets. But what I do is look up the menus and I will then put all of the data into a spreadsheet. So I have a few different pages. So I will have one that's quick service, one that's table service. That's the very basic one. And then within those spreadsheets, I will have a section that's Magic Kingdom and the hotels near Magic Kingdom, Hollywood Studios and the hotels near Hollywood Studios, and on and on and on. And also do it for like Disney Springs, Universal, all of those things. So I'll be able to see the area that I can eat in, the option, and then the pricing. So I'll put the price of the thing I'm going to eat, the tax price, the tip if needed, and then the total. So I can then easily look at my spreadsheet and I can see all the information I need. And then what's really helpful is once I have the itinerary, I can go to my spreadsheet and go, right, I need a quick service restaurant in Epcot. And I can just look at my spreadsheet and see what ones I want to pick out, which is fantastic. I then also have other pages that you don't need to go into this much detail, but I will have pages where I do have like my itinerary in there. I'll also break them down by like breakfast, lunch and dinner, so I can see what restaurants I might want to pick. So there's lots of extra things you don't necessarily have to do, but it can be helpful sometimes, because if you're thinking, oh, we're in Magic Kingdom, where could I get a breakfast? You can have a little look at your spreadsheet and you know. But just having the information to hand I think is really handy, even if it's just on a piece of paper. Like, these are the restaurants in Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Hollywood Studios we want to eat in, and then we can pick from them once we've created our plan of where we're going to be each day. I also do love to add a character meal. That's something I'm really partial to, even if it's just one a trip, because I just think it's such a Disney experience. It's so nice to do. And then I also like to do a mixture of new restaurants that I've never dined in before, and then restaurants with updated menus, and sometimes my old favourites, because it's so hard to not go back to the ones that you absolutely love. So some of the places that are new for me or have an updated menu that I'm really excited for is the Garden View afternoon tea. This has been shut since the pandemic and it's finally reopened, and it's an Alice in Wonderland afternoon tea, which sounds fantastic. For my birthday I thought this could be a really fun little treat. And what's interesting is normally afternoon tea in the UK you have to book for like 2 people minimum, whereas for this it seems like you can go solo. So I'm thinking about booking that because that sounds so fun. Wailulu. The setting looks amazing. The menu sounds so good. The food sounds right up my alley. So this is so high on my list. I really want to go there. Eat in Disney Springs, the Indian quick service restaurant. I think it's so nice to have an Indian quick service, and I'm just really curious to see what it's like, so that's very exciting. I'd love to go to Hollywood Brown Derby. I've not been here. It's one of the restaurants in Hollywood Studios I've not been to before, and again, it's a bit more like elegant, a bit more refined. The menu here sounds really good, so that could be a really nice option. Spice Road Table. I want to get these Middle Eastern small plates. They sound so good. They have this like crispy chili cauliflower, which sounds amazing. And they have the famous hummus fries. So I think that could be like a really nice little meal to have. I've never been to Roundup Rodeo Barbecue. Now, I was meant to go there in 2024. We had a Most Magical meetup in Hollywood Studios, and I'd booked. We were going to start the evening having a meal. And that day I just wasn't feeling 100% well. And so everyone went to the mill, and then I met up with them afterwards. We had an amazing evening, but I feel so bad that I missed that mill, and it's something I would still love to do. I think it just looks like the most fun, but I do think it's a place that's probably more enjoyable if you're with other people. So I'm like, I don't know if I'll do it this trip, but it's definitely on my list of somewhere to try. Steakhouse 71, like I say, I love going there for breakfast, but they now have a vegan omelette. Before it was avocado toast. I'm like, that sounds really good. So I'd love to try that. Cinderella's Royal Table breakfast. Now, I've been to Cinderella's Royal Table before. The setting is unbelievably stunning. And being inside the castle is so special. I was there just after the pandemic. So you only met Cinderella as you entered the castle. I didn't have the full princess dining experience, so I'm like, oh, that could be quite fun. And I've never done breakfast. However, it's unbelievably expensive. I think it's about $79 for breakfast, but once you add tax and tip, it's over $100. So it's one of those things that if I've saved enough money, we might splurge on that. But otherwise, we might just have a more reasonable, like, $17 omelette in Steakhouse 71. Regal Eagle. Like I said, I'm really interested to try this stuffed jacket potato. It's just such an interesting option. It is interesting that the vegan option no longer has anything kind of barbecue. It sounds more like a side dish, but obviously jacket potatoes are really filling. And I think because I'm visiting in winter, that could be really, really fun. So excited for that. Tiffin's. Like I say, I love the fact it's kind of like a museum. But they also have a new curry dish since I was last there, which sounds amazing. And I loved the food there before, so I'd like to try that again. Tusker House. I loved breakfast there. Like I say, if you like Boma or you're thinking about going to Boma but you don't want to head to the hotel, Tusker House, very, very similar. The Babuti is unbelievably good, but I'm kind of curious to try the breakfast lunch hack there because I've never done that, and I'd love to see what the lunch food is like, but I loved the breakfast food so much I don't want to like miss it. So I'm thinking about trying that. And also Garden Grill. I had breakfast there and it was wonderful. Really enjoyed the food, but loved the kind of like revolving restaurant, going inside the ride, meeting the characters. So I wouldn't mind trying the lunch or dinner because it just sounds like kind of like traditional American food. I think that could be really fun. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see if there's any more menu updates, because like I say, like Pecco's Bill has had menu updates recently, and this is another reason why I follow Princess and the Bear, because they will, the second menus change, they're on it, so you're always super up to date with everything that's happening. And between now and my trip is still about 5 months, so it'll be really interesting to see if there's any new dishes that come or things change up. So yeah, I will always keep an eye out because we won't finalise it until much closer to the trip. But of course in November it'll be my 60-day dates. That's when the table service restaurants will be booked, which is going to be very exciting, and I'm very much looking forward to that. Like I say, I'm obsessed with booking the dining, so I'm just like, I can't wait to get to the 60-day mark, so that's going to be fun. But I thought we would end this with some dining tips, and some of this we will have heard already in the podcast, but I just want to reiterate them because I think they help the most. But putting harder dining reservations later into your trip is going to give you the best chance of getting them. Being flexible with the times you dine and avoiding peak hours, again, is going to give you the best range of times available. And also having backup days so that you could switch restaurants around can really be useful. Use mobile ordering. It saves you so much time, and nobody wants to be in long queues at Disney, so that's super worthwhile. If you are going solo like me, book a table for two for table service restaurants, because you're going to be sat at a table for two anyway. They don't mind, and until they change the system, we're going to find a way to do a loophole. So just do that and don't feel bad about it. If you're a large group, splitting up into smaller groups can get you the best chance of getting dining reservations, because, as I say, even though large groups are quite common, there aren't often large tables at restaurants, so that can be quite difficult. But if you can split up, you're going to have a much better chance of getting all the dining that you would like. Looking up the prices before can be a really good way to budget, and then you're not going to end up getting over there and have any nasty shocks and be like, oh my gosh, we haven't got enough money. And like I say, if you don't want to have to do the in-depth research of all of the menus, do just do that rule of thumb, so you know, I have roughly this amount of money to spend each day, and then if it's under that, you've got more money to spend, which is wonderful. More merch, can't go wrong with that. It's absolutely fantastic. If you are thinking about upgrading your dining plan, do a little bit of research. Look at maybe 2 or 3 menus just to see if what you would order would justify the upgrade in price, because it could be that actually you end up spending loads of money that you didn't need to spend. And I do look up reviews, because not all restaurants are created equal. And also sometimes it's not necessarily that the restaurant is bad. It might just not be cuisine you personally enjoy. So you don't want to end up going somewhere and then being like, oh no, this is not the one. So doing a little bit of research can go such a long way. Using snack credits from the dining plan for small meals, or bringing snacks with you, can be a really great way to keep costs down. Buying drinks from supermarkets will save you so much money, so absolutely do that. You also get free water at Disney and Universal. So at Disney, you can go to any quick service location, and they sometimes will just have them on the counter that you can take, or you can just ask for them and they'll give it to you for free. You don't need to buy anything. And Universal, all of the soda machines dispense free water. So again, if you're just wanting a glass of water, don't pay for a like $5 bottle, just get the free water. Buffet and family style meals are really, really great to get really full and eat as much as you enjoy, but for one set price, because with table service restaurants, obviously the more courses you buy, the more expensive it gets, and it can very quickly spiral. Whereas buffets or table service, you know, you're paying one flat fee and you can eat as much as you enjoy, which is wonderful and a great way to cut costs down. If you want to do character dining meals but for cheaper, then book the breakfast, because they're always the more affordable option. If you are going to character dining, you're a bit nervous about what do you say to characters, how do you interact, what I would recommend is talking to them either about their film or other characters in their film, or even just what you've been doing during the day. They can't speak about anything that isn't Disney or like within the world of Disney, so just be aware of that. And to be fair, they will normally kind of lead the conversation, so don't feel pressured that you have to go in with like a line to say, or you have to know what conversation you're going to bring up. But if you are looking for some like little ideas, then talking about their film, a character in their film, or what you've been doing is a really good idea. Like I say, always book as soon as the reservations open up 60 days in advance, because that way you're going to have the biggest range of restaurants and times available, and you're not going to miss out on those hard to get dining reservations. When you are booking, open up each restaurant in its own tab on a web browser and book in order of hardest to get first. Don't worry about date order, that doesn't matter. Just the hardest to get reservations first, and that's going to give you the biggest chance of getting everything you would like. What was I say? I've written notes down and now I can't read my own handwriting, which is difficult, isn't it? That's not a good sign. Oh, this is a really good one actually. I'm glad that my eyesight has resumed. If you are going to a quick service restaurant, don't sit down until you have your meal. And I know there is that thing of when people arrive, particularly if you've got kids and stuff, you see a table and you go, right, grab it. But the problem is sometimes if you're queuing to get your food, it can still be a bit of a wait. And during the time that you're sat down, someone could have sat down, eaten their meal and left. And someone like me that goes solo, it's really difficult because I can't have someone go and scope out a table for me. So sometimes I will literally be walking around and half of the tables are full of people that don't have meals. And the whole time my meal's going cold, can't eat. And it is a rule at Disney to not do this. Whether it's enforced or not will come down to cast members. But if everyone followed the rules, then there would always be a constant flow of tables because people would eat and then leave. Whereas people hogging the tables is why people can't find tables. So don't be that person and just wait until you've got your food and then sit down. And one thing to be aware of is if you are going to be driving, you cannot go to a Disney resort unless you are a guest staying at that resort or you have a dining reservation. So if you have a table service dining reservation, you can drive to that resort and park for 3 hours, absolutely fine. However, if you're thinking about driving to go to a quick service, they won't let you in. Just be aware. Also, if you are at Disney Springs and you're thinking, let's hop on a resort bus to go to a quick service location at one of the resorts. If you are a Disney resort guest staying at any Disney hotel, you can absolutely do that. If you are not staying at a Disney hotel, they've recently changed the rules, so you cannot get on the resort buses at Disney Springs unless you are staying at a Disney hotel. So just be aware of that as well. And finally, if you are feeling stressed or worried or not going to be free to book your dining reservations, do check out my Disney World dining booking service where I can book everything for you and just send you a very happy email with everything all ready to go. But I hope this has been a helpful and insightful look at dining. Like I say, it's one of my favourite topics. It's one of my favourite things to plan. I absolutely love it. And because there's just so many good restaurants on offer, it's a joy to try and work out where you want to eat, where you're going to dine, what restaurant decor do you like, which characters do you want to meet. I just think it's fantastic, and it's such a big part of your trip, because obviously when you go on holiday anywhere you want to be going to nice restaurants, but I think because of the theming and all the things on offer at Disney and Universal, you really want to make an effort of like, oh, where do I want to dine? And it's just so exciting picking it all out. So this has been such a fun episode. Thank you so much for joining me. And there's still so much more to come for this series. We've still got loads of big topics like multi-pass, express passes, park strategy, packing. We've got like so many things to discuss still. So I'm loving this week by week breakdown. But thank you so much for listening. And until next time, I hope you have a most magical day. Bye bye.